What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
One, two, three, four. Oh yeah. Oh man, would you look at me? You're just another one hit wonder, that's what everyone sees. Ain't it funny how you wanna be the best, but you can't even get up and get dressed? Wasted, face it, you're never gonna make it. Rockstar, you won't get far. And I know you're confused. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be. Wanna go to outer space, superhero in the streets. Oh man, what a lie, what a time to be alive. How have I survived? Life's a battlefield, 1974. Try to tell you it's a battlefield. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be. Wanna go to outer space, superhero in the streets. Oh man, what a lie, what a time to be alive. How have I survived? Life's a battlefield, 1974.
Baby, I just wanna be alone. I don't need your company, stop blowing up my phone. You don't get the things that I've been through, and I don't have the time to lay it all in front of you. And you think that you wanna save me. You don't know it, baby, why you do this? I got this under control. You think you do, but you really don't know that I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. No, I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. I'll save Baby, I just wanna be alone. I don't need your company, stop blowing up my phone. You don't get the things that I've been through, and I don't have the time to lay it all in front of you. And you think that you wanna save me. You don't know it, baby, why you do this? I got this under control. You think you do, but you really don't know that I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. No, I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. No, I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. I stand back and I watch you explore in perfect visions like I've been here before. Falling faster, I try to ignore. I see you, I see you. I'll let you drag me to hell if you hold my hand.
Good evening and welcome back to another NECC Friday Overwatch time. I'm Tiny Shiny with 2 Tryhard Ray. It's the best day of the week for a reason, because we all need some Overwatch before we head into a very relaxing weekend to regroup, and we're almost to the end of our regular season, Ray.
That we are, and we're going to have quite a matchup for you guys. We got 2 matchups, obviously. But the first one we got for you guys is going to be Purdue and Northwestern University Gold going up against Southern Illinois University Carbondale.
Yeah, both these teams are in Division 4, as we've said, so about in the middle of our divisions that we have for the Overwatch teams. So, again, we are at that Week 6 point. Purdue Northwestern, of course, going to the favorites going to this. They have not lost a single match the entire season, currently 5-0, heading into week number 6, where as Southern Illinois University, they are currently at 2-3, and it's been a bit tough. I think that for Purdue Northwestern, you win a game here, you're automatically guaranteed playoffs. Even if you don't win, you have to kind of bank on the second seed to come back up, to come in. Playoffs are for sure, just depends on the seeding. Whereas for SIUC Black, this is a must win. And even then, it's out of your hands entirely. You got to win out for the season and hope that there is a loss that happens from either the current 2, 3, or 4 seeds to follow through. So lots of stakes here. Heading into week number 6 is we're going to get started on our best of 5 shortly.
That always makes things interesting when you got one team who's, in a position where they're almost guaranteed playoffs. So there's a chance where they could phone it in a little bit. I'm not sure how much seeding's going to matter. And then you have another team who's like in this desperation scenario where they have to win. If they lose here, they are not making playoffs. So that always has it's like two complete opposite directions these teams are going. We do see below Lijiang Tower, El Clasico is going to be the first map of choice. No surprises here. We also, had that mid-season update come in, drop on Tuesday. So we had some updates coming in, and that's going to make things that much more interesting as the bans. No Lucio, which is such a quintessential hero on this map. To not see that available is going to definitely shake things up. And no Symmetra as well.
The 2 pinnacles of support right now are Lucio and Kiriko. If you're playing something else, well, good luck. And, well, guess what? You're not forced to play something else. If you've had the opportunity to switch it up and have practice there, it will definitely be helpful. But as you said, speed, often a factor here on our control maps, especially. And Symmetra, a more niche pick, but if there is a team that is going to run it, you do not want to play against them on this particular map. It is arguably one of the best that you're going to find to make her work. So as we get started here on Gardens, getting a little bit of tease from Moo on this Roadhog, which did see a slight buff and is risen in the stocks just a little bit.
Just a little bit. We'll see if it's enough to get a team to actually play it. For the side of Purdue Northwest, they are going with a Diva comps, which isn't a big surprise. Diva's the big bad bully of the tank lineup right now, and they are going to substitute not having Lucio with the Wu Yang, which to me is no surprise. Kiri Wu Yang is not as good as Kiri Lucio, but it's a great substitute.
And the Mizuki from Faded Circle, one of the newest additions to Overwatch, and can be great, but I think not running the Kiriko here, you're down a lot of poke, and with Fennec getting the much value as he did in the first elimination here, it's going to be an easy setup for Purdue Northwestern. They're already going to be on this point. SIUC very hesitant to move over this bridge, and the hooks aren't quite landing the way Moo wants to.
That's going to be the issue, is if you're not landing those hooks on the Roadhog and, getting these easy kills that the hero provides, it's going to just make the life that much harder, because you're just basically an ult charge feeding tank as a Roadhog if you're not finding those picks.
Yeah, and you kind of have to realize there is not going to be anyone peeking over around the bridge. So Purdue Northwestern will make SIUC Black rotate over to this bridge, or the white room side of things. And again, Moo not coming up with much in his fishing adventures so far, and a nice shot from the Ovi here. It's making me really question their life decisions. Has to go back to his team, and Obel doing a lot of damage on this front line, but as soon as you get hit with the flashbang on Avenger, it's basically a death sentence. Little Newport opens the door now for SIUC to get closer to this point, but you can tell they're still struggling. Moo at a sliver of HP, eventually a free win, running him over with the boosters is enough to take him down. For Northwestern, they have a good lock on this point.
Yeah, Yuvero's trying to do their best on this Tracer to go cause a bunch of havoc in the backline, but Neob just has their number marked on this Cassidy, and it's just really tough to play Tracer into the Cassidy when they're just hanging back in the backline like this, as cleanup is just coming in for Purdue Northwestern, and they haven't had to use a single ultimate, and now they're just stockpiling them, which makes the pressure on Southern Illinois University's back just that much greater.
It's very difficult for them to get across this bridge. I mean, Garden's one of those points that you can't find a way through these narrow chokes, and with the Roadhog, it's not easy. Moo finding that out firsthand for SIUC. Of course, they will have more ultimates to work with on this point, but a fantastic move from the wave of all things, Ray! Sends Moo reeling off the map.
Yeah, extremely unfortunate, but that's the kind of game you play when you go bridge like that. White Room is always the safer choice, so they're playing with fire when they do something like that.
Yeah, and they had to go for it. I think there was pressure. It felt like it was last fight territory. You even end up committing the orbital ray, or not the orbital ray, excuse me, the tidal blast from Ranchi. It's just not enough. Yobi has got this link hammered down, and that's 100-0 now for Gardens. Purdue Northwestern looking like that 5-0 team we expected.
Couldn't agree with you more, and I think the one here you kind of talked about that was interesting that we saw was the Mizuki did get, I mean, I couldn't figure out if it was overall a net buff or nerf for Mizuki, because like you got the extra 2 meters to your aura range, but it was also with the cost of your ramp up on your heals going down a little bit sooner. But overall, it just felt like they never found an angle in. I do like Moose swapping over to the Domino. We've seen that be a very successful hero on maps like this. Even last week when I was casting some of the top collegiate teams in Division 1, they were playing Domino on this map, so I do like that change.
I think it's a lot easier for SIUC Black to hold space. I think with a Roadhog, you have great pick potential, but you don't really have a good way to move forwards or stop a team from walking into you. And into a Diva, in theory, that can work out, but Bravo getting so aggressive on this Vendetta off rip. You're already down one. Lil Newport not faring too much better for SIUC. Purdue Northwestern picking up the pace, just having this Diva, despite there being no Lucio on the field.
Yeah, and again, it's just the amount of pressure you're able to put. I mean, just look at Neob, already like halfway to high noon. Maldini also putting a lot of work on this Wu Yang. You can see, at least for the side of Purdue Northwestern, no Lucio, no problem.
No, not at all. Especially Niobe has found some great shots to get this early poke damage in. Made it really difficult for SIUC Black, and even Moo committing the shield so far back. Free win is in the back line for SIUC Black. No idea what is going on with that, but it's working. It's slowing down the pace enough, so even these increments of space, they're happening for SIUC. It's at such a slow pace that you can't find much of it. Eventually, Oval will be punished. Yubaro got a first pick. That's kind of the go button. We're seeing Moo walk forwards. They'll help clean up on some of these supports to get the first play.
I will say that the strategy that Purdue Northwestern was playing right there is not how you want to be able to play it against the Domina. Domina starts to find an extreme amount of value when you're kind of just sitting around and allowing her to keep her distance and put down the amount of damage she can do. So it's going to be on Purdue Northwestern to, you know, make something happen. You can't just stand there and front all this damage.
No, you have to be able to take initiative, and it is a little bit difficult on Control Center. When you're funneled through all these narrow chokes, Ranchi showing exactly what can happen if you don't have all of your angles covered. So being down Niobe, just be another fast reset for Purdue Northwestern.
I will say that one thing you do have to be wary about if you are SUIC is this upcoming Panopticon ult. The Diva is a very big deterrent. You can easily eat this thing. It's a very hard one to hit, so you're going to have to look for the picture-perfect opportunity to hit this.
Yeah, and it actually did its job for, I mean, rather the threat of Panopticon. That's Tidal Blast completely wasted. Just because the CC that was put on a free win uses the self-destruct aggressively. We don't see that every day. Still comes up with Faded Circle. He'll take that any day of the week. Niobe found an angle for himself, looking to put pressure onto this Domina. There's the Panopticon, but it doesn't look like it managed to tag anybody. I think it got one in the back line. That's nowhere near the amount of value that is needed for SIUC to hold on to this point. They'll give it up with about 67%.
Yeah, it looked like it got the Diva, and the unfortunate thing with the Panopticon ultimate, if you use it in the middle of a fight and everyone's still alive and you only get one, everyone is just going to shoot it and you're not going to get your value. So you either have to find it in a space where you can out damage the lack of healing they're going to get, or you need to get more than one person, so they have to focus on shooting more than one shield.
You gotta, that's the thing with Domina. You have to do a lot of this focus fire. You gotta find ways to buy space for it. And having the Vendetta here is great, but it won't do much. If Fennec has a perfectly timed Suzu and the exit completely denied, shut in Yvarl's face. Kitsune Rush now forwards for Purdue Northwestern. Everybody on SIUC Black trying to get out and avoid further staggers.
You can see why the Kiri's working out much better than the Mizuki. Just the Kitsune Rush ultimate alone is enough, but just the amount of damage Kiri threats with headshots to the kunai is ridiculous.
You're getting down to half HP before the fight start, and the Kakai Sanctuary, it can be helpful. Look how much space ends up buying SIUC Black. Barely any players from Purdue Northwestern were able to remain on this point, but a TP to the backline. Opal wanted that Death Blossom. Babu saw that play. 5 seconds ahead, was on it, shut him down, and Yvarl taking out the other DPS. So Purdue Northwestern lose control of the point, about final fight territory.
Yeah, both teams, this is their final opportunity. We will have both teams having their tidal wave blasted. I didn't even realize that Freewind was still on planning. We do have the ability to remake here. What, they find one? Oh my goodness.
Things that shouldn't happen in the age of 2026, but Freewind making it happen. Tidal blast thrown out, knocks down 2. Ranch and Yvarl are set and done with. SIUC looks a lot better here on Control Center, but it's going to be all for naught. Purdue Northwestern got their bearings back together, made this Diva work with the Kiriko, and we'll take map number 1.
Yeah, the big question to me is how much would this map have changed if they just rolled out on the Domina to begin with instead of messing around too much with the Hog? I mean, I get that Hog got a little bit of a buff, not enough to make him meta, so unfortunate for SIUC Black. They face themselves being down 1-0, but they will get their map pick for the second map. So they got to be feeling pretty good about that. But as we kind of mentioned in the preamble of this match, if they want any hope of making playoffs, they're going to have to turn this around right here and now.
Yeah, and it's really hard, too, to be going against a team of the caliber of Purdue Northwestern. Again, 5-0, the only undefeated team within this North Central bracket that we have. So that's a tough task to have to go against Purdue Northwestern, already locked into playoffs for sure. Could very likely be number 1 seed unless they, for some reason, were to lose all of their games. And the second seed was to win both of them. And then there would be up to tiebreakers. But we'll get there if we end up getting there, because right now it is clearly Purdue Northwestern. I think they had a better read on the comps, as you said, Ray, about what was going to work for them, just overall on Lijiang Tower. So now that the ball is back in SIUC's court, what are they going to decide to do with this? Because they'll have map pick and first ban selection.
I think the big question to me for SIUC is, do they have a Kiri player? Because I don't know why you wouldn't be playing on Lijiang Tower. If you don't have one, that could be a troubling sign going forward. And to me, if you don't have a Kiri ban, that has to be something you look to ban on one of these next few maps, just because Kiri is that strong. You have to give yourself a chance. If you can't run Kiri, at least take it away from the other team.
Yeah, Kiri arguably the most dominant support in the game right now, something that we just don't get to see a whole lot where she's not being played. So I'm right along with you, Ray. I'm a little shocked that wasn't a pick. I do want to see them lean more into the Domina. I feel like that looks a lot more comfortable from Moo. That hero in particular, very strong on paper and with their own composition.
I think it's all just going to be dictated on where we go map-wise. I mean, I feel like the Diva looked pretty good for Purdue Northwestern, so maybe you might want to take them away from those possible maps of like Gibraltar or like a Blizzard World, or, just maps where you expect Diva to be pretty strong. Maybe possibly going to, like a King's Row or something like that, where maybe you can brawl it out a bit more on the Domina. Even Shambhali's been showing itself to be a pretty good Domina map, but I feel like that's going to be key to trying to dismantle Purdue Northwestern, is take you to a map where maybe the Diva's not as good, and then also trying to take that advantage and possibly taking away their Kiri.
Well, speaking of the Kiri, Fennec, who was the Kiriko player for Purdue Northwestern, has actually been subbed out for map number 2. Silky coming on in to be his replacement. Again, I think Kiriko, with how strong she is, it is very common to have every support have a decent idea of how to play her, unless you're really set on that Lucio that is back up and available for map number 2, as far as we know so far. It could depend on what the strengths of Silky are, if they are different. You do have to make the substitutions before the map pick is made, though. So this is something that Purdue Northwestern have pretty planned out as they're heading into this.
It's also a possibility that, we do see Colosseo being the next map below. It is also possible that, maybe they're do they know the bans before they make their swaps? Before they
They
make
do
their
not.
lineups? No, yeah. Then it's tough to know. Maybe that was like their main flex support lineup. Maybe this is more of a double flex support lineup. But for Colosseo, I would expect to see a possibility of like more Lucio Brawl Rush just because the corridors are so enclosed in those long hallways. But it also could lend itself to more of a poke style composition with a Domina or like a Sigma and play like more hit scan oriented, just keep your distance. And in that case, maybe you go double flex support.
Yeah, it's a very good possibility. It goes map pick, roster lock in, and then hero ban. So now that you know that swap has been made, I wonder if you're Purdue Northwestern, how you'd want to counter that out. And well, it takes the Ana off the board as a flex support possibility, but it will be the D.Va that is being banned. I think that is a fantastic decision. She is by far the strongest tank right now, even with Zarya as good as she is. Free Wind looked fantastic on it. So as we head into Colosseo, we're going to see how things are switched on up.
Half a second on the boosters does nothing, Blizzard. I don't know what you were thinking on that.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, I like I mentioned, I think D.Va and Kiri are going to be the two bans for SIUC going forward to take a look at. So this map, especially when you saw that Fennec got put to the bench, then you're like, okay, let's take away their D.Va. So it's just, let's see how these teams are going to go into this. And I love what SUIC is cooking if they roll out on this, because I was kind of talking to Tiny before this about some other leagues where I've seen Sigma Bastion, and Domina is a great replacement instead of the Sig, because Domina basically plays the same role that a Sig would. For Purdue Northwestern, going over to the Mauga, I think, is another interesting feat here. I mean, if you can wait out that Bastion form and then look to get aggressive with those charges, I think it could be. Now we see Faded Circle on the Kiri too. I'm just all over the place right now. Why weren't you playing Kiri on the first map?
They had a strat. I think the Mizuki was something that you want to try, and it can work on Lijiang Tower, but I think with Lucio also being taken away, it leaves a lot of question marks. All I know is SIUC seem to have a better idea of what they want to do on this map. I love the Lego Bastion skin that we're seeing from Little Newport here. Fortunately, it's not going to do too much. Free Win skirts right around that, and the Mauga into the backline, barely losing any health, and a bit of an overextension here from Yuvoro, but actually does so much work. Denies Free Win's exit entirely. Definitely in a vulnerable window, but just not enough of one. Moo got chunked so low himself that he had to back off. Couldn't have the rest of the support there for Little Newport as a result, as it was given to the tank. So Purdue Northwestern will end up taking this first fight, start moving through the Coliseum.
To me, if you're going to play Mei Bastion with Domina, it's so much damage, but you all have to be coalesced on the same targets, and they just were not. The fact that Freewin was able to survive as long as he did, despite all the early cooldowns they had to commit, to me doesn't bode super well, but that can always just be cleaned up. If you're on the side of SUIC, they just need to do it, quicker, before it's too late.
Can we stop peeking the window? Please stop peeking the window! Niobe will hit these if you give him the opportunity. Gonna win that from round number 1, but the tank, not so much. Moo is like, I got 700 health. I'll be okay, but do we know Freewin's camping in the corner? Not exactly, but he's not going to commit to the front line. Knows is to wait for the Bastion form. That's kind of go on out. Has the cage in hand. Gonna throw it down. Will lose his life, or at least come super close to it. Fantastic healing from Maldini and Silky to keep him on his feet, and it'll be enough for Purdue Northwestern to go ahead and clean up and get the forward spawns unlocked.
To me, that says everything. The fact that the Mauga didn't die, it says everything on the support play from the side of PNW with this Juno Brig. But also says, maybe the focus fire could be just that much better for SUIC. But again, that to me, these supports are putting in work for Purdue Northwestern at this point.
Yeah, I think Juno Brig, kind of the substitute to Lucio Curie, which again, crazy we're not seeing it being this map as it is, but regardless of that fact,
there
it's
you
working
go.
out great for PNW. Finally, you get a pick on though. Niobe will overstep. Varro there to clean up. Artillery strike from above. Forces a lot of cooldowns. Won't get any eliminations. So it's a good time for a soft push from SIUC. But there's the double stun from Maldini. Orbital Ray to back it up. And Little Newport is absolutely shredded. Free New Win and Opal working hand in hand on this Mauga and Reaper is so much frontline pressure. There's nothing SIUC can do as they crumble.
I mean, just think about it. With a Mauga hitting a good slam, as well as a Reaper just firing those Hellfire shotguns in your face and Immortality field, but they're still able to just out damage that sustain from the Suzu and the Immortality field.
Yeah, it's just too many cooldowns that are burned out, whereas it's more consistent for Silky and Maldini on their hero comp. Again, great start for SIUC Black to get a first pick, but that didn't mean much before. You gotta commit more resources. Amplification Matrix on point for Ranchi. He'll be the hero for this fight, as SIUC will keep themselves in the map, but just barely.
Again, it did cost them their window, but they had to stop the bleeding. Like, we're getting ready to enter Avril Theorem, and I mean, Niobe already finding a counter pick, and with all the close spawns, SUIC can't afford to play too aggressively here.
Yeah, but you just can't get out is the problem. You use both your left and your Suze with that play. Freeman's like, don't mind if I do. Opal puts everybody in the blender with the Death Blossoms, that classic combo we're used to seeing in SIUC. One small overstep and PNW are ready to pounce.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we know about, as soon as I saw the cage coming down, I'm like, in comes the Death Blossom. It's just classic. I mean, now SUIC can look to counter with a classic of their own, which is the cage with the blade. They're just gonna have to make sure they set it up pretty well.
They'll have the space to do it. The Kitsune Arch and Faded Circle help, but no, they're just gonna go for Evil's Blade on its own, and unfortunately, it's not gonna come up with too much. It forces PNW back. You get the pick onto Silky, but you don't have a longer game plan. Moo realizes that, like, all right, I gotta commit this cage. Didn't really want to do it, but we don't really have a choice to lose the fight. Nice part is, Ray, they were on bot this whole time.
Yes, so they're gonna completely erase the forward spawn, so everyone's gonna get really bad spawns. So this is where they finally get some good cart progress in their favor. Again, it was a relatively expensive fight, as they do have Ranchi on the Wu Yang now. So all they're gonna have is their Bastion ultimate, and that one just doesn't hit like it. It's just not a very good ultimate. Oh, while Maldini's gonna be coming up on Rally, which is a crucial ultimate.
And because you don't have to worry about Dragon Blade anymore either, I mean, this is a great setup. You saw it from Silky and Maldini before. Freewin does have to stay alive. That's the way to speedrun your ult charge, is to say, hey, Freewin, go stand in front of their team. Let us heal you a bit. So we can get these support ults to take the fight. We know how difficult it is to move past this bridge. What Array is online. Opal's forced out, though. Had to use the Wraith form rather early. That's the pick you're waiting for. Niobe snipes Yvarl as he went in for the dive. Everyone dropping on down, hoping they don't have to commit. And the ultimates to it being a 4v5 as it is. Low Newport under a lot of pressure in the back, and as that Bastion form expires, you know you're about to see Freewin jump onto that one, and nothing needed there for PNW Gold in terms of shiny buttons.
I was literally gonna say, that is massive for them to get the pick onto Everal early, who's now swapped over to the Echo, which basically said, hey, we don't even have to commit ults to this fight now. So now they have every single one. This is their opportunity to try and slam the door and get this point all the way across. As we'll see how the Echo does. I do like the threat of the focusing beam, because they have been able to get Freewin low, just not always been able to confirm the kill.
It's a lot of burst damage and kill confirmation that will be offered here, and yes, onto the tank, number one, but there's so much in the tank for PNW to be able to work with in terms of damage and healing. But again, Blue Newport can open this one up for SIUC Black, but they are not safe yet. The Tidal Blast will help move, but it does nothing for Ranchi. Tidal Blast, or excuse me, Cage down for free win, and it is a free win of the fight for PNW Gold. They'll lose a couple along the way, but there's denying progress all the meanwhile.
Yeah, and in the meantime, everyone's just going to get cleaned up. But I guess because of that, the cart hasn't been able to be pushed. And now they're going to have an opportunity to get another team fight in here. But they're facing down Orbital Ray plus Death Blossom. And Aldini's now gone over to the Lucio. So now you have to deal with the threat of the speed boost as well.
Yeah, it's double speed boost, too, with the Juno. And speaking of speed, Freewin's just in there. Does not have a care in the world for this combo. And Opal lays him on down, doesn't get any final blows, but the damage has been done. SIUC running out of options here. In fact, they are out of them for Coliseo. 2-0 now, the lead for PNW Gold.
Yeah, as you can clearly see why Purdue Northwestern finds themselves undefeated on this season. Their team coordination just looks picture perfect. Doesn't matter that they got target banned on the Diva, had their prerequisite plans for if that came in, and the Mauga looked just as dominant. The synchronization between OBL and Freewin was just chef's kiss.
And these are the kind of things that you like to see from teams that are at this level. It's often less of what can one individual player do in terms of popping off, but how can these types of synergies be, and how consistent, how reliable are they? And regardless of both the comps that we have seen from Purdue Northwestern so far, I'd say it looks pretty solid between those two players in particular. Have a good read on their comps. They know what they want to play, and it, again, very telling of their current record through the season, Ray, as it now puts SIUC in an even more difficult position.
And with that, because they are in such a difficult position, we're going to give them a little bit of an extended break to figure out what they want to do to try and reverse sweep Purdue Northwestern up 2-0 in the series, trying to 100% confirm a playoff spot with this win. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Way too many faces in the crowd, but I think that I see you. One too many days got me changing up the way that I need you. Now we're both at a bar, acting like it's not hard, trying to feel something different. Talk to somebody new, kinda wish it was you, kinda numb to the feeling. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months and I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Not that you're gone. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Laying on my floor, thinking about all the things that we've been through. From 24/7 to pretending like I never met you. No, it's all for the best, cause I know we're a mess every time we're together. Going out of my mind, and I wish I could lie, tell you that it gets better. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months where I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem
We're getting ready to go into map number 3 for our Division 4 Overwatch matchup. It's Purdue Northwestern leading the charge 2-0 as SIUC looking to make a dent in this reverse sweep that they have up and coming if they want a chance at making the playoffs.
Yeah, it's been a very, what's the word? I want to just dominating performance. I guess I don't want to be that blunt, but it's been quite a show put on from Purdue Northwestern. I mean, there's a reason why they have been doing so well in the season, and their team synergy has just been on full display. New Junk City has been the next map of choice, and I feel like for SIUC, getting these bans is going to be important. Purdue Northwest really like that Domina ban, and for the side of SUSC, the Venture ban coming through. Have we seen the Venture? Yeah, we did see it on Lijiang Tower. Yeah, so I think this makes sense. I actually found this out the other day by one of my teammates, Tiny. But did you know New Junk City is the #1 Venture map in Overwatch?
I had a feeling. As a Venture one trick myself, I am particularly
literally, Tiny
close to
has a higher win percentage than Vendetta on this map.
I believe it. Like, it is the way that the map is structured. There's so many great spots. One, you could be a bit of a rat and it's hilarious. And two, the architecture is very fitting to how Venture's movement pattern is and a lot of the positioning that you can have to set up. There's a lot of small chokes that you can kind of just control by yourself, similar to what we've seen from a Tracer. And it works really well on this map, so I think that is an overall good band. I'm a little sad. We won't be seeing any, but SIUC Black, they have their own plans. Sim Bastion, at least for now. We'll see if the Symmetra actually sticks, but it seems that your Varro is going to roll out on it.
Seeing the Wrecking Ball is also extremely interesting. Wrecking Ball with the Vendetta. Normally you'd run the Zarya to get that extra bubble in. So we'll have to see if the more frail Vendetta is going to be able to sync up with Freewin on this ball in order to get those kills faster.
Yeah, you're more of a sitting duck than Freewin and Niobe when it comes to your pick when these dives are happening. So we'll have to be careful and be watching out for the SIUC major cooldowns and not having great luck so far, as he'll be the one to hit the decks first. His move set up on this point. I think Hamster is going to be near impossible. Free win with this comp. Do manage to get a couple on the way out. It won't be enough to stop the cap.
Yeah, the amount of damage you have with the Sim and the Bastion, if you're not able to execute and find a quick, easy pick, the amount of damage they can just throw down, even with the mobility of the Wrecking Ball, is just going to be so much to have to deal with on this Wrecking Ball comp.
Yeah, and it can work out if you can pull pieces away from that unicized core, and that's what we saw there. It was that boop from Freewin that separated, faded circle, bought enough time for Niobe to get that off angle. It's a quick, easy flip for Purdue Northwestern. See if they can pull that off again.
Yeah, exactly. That's the predicate win condition of this Wrecking Ball. Vendetta is syncing up and finding a quick kill before the sustained damage that the Bastion Sim is going to provide and blow you up.
But there are a lot more options for SIUC to get to the point because of the Symmetra. Don't really need the teleport there. EVRLC's like, wait, there's no one home. We'll just walk in through the back door. We'll take advantage of it for now and almost gets the flip. Freewin eventually decides, maybe we should contest this for a little bit longer. But still not having the best of luck on this Vendetta. And the one to go down first quite a bit. Might as well Freewin though, more than enough to make up for it. Even the pulse bomb there, Will Newport held on to life for a lot longer than he probably should have. But there is something as inevitable here. It is Silky running it down with the Kiriko, comes up with the triple and Purdue Northwestern gold. They want to deny an final fight altogether.
Yeah, I will say, with SUSC and what they're running, it is tough to run and go after anyone specifically just because PNW, they have so much mobility. And that's what they need to look for, is catching people out early like Maldini. But do they even get the touch in time? I do not know. They do.
Just barely, and it's from EVRL switching over who that Tracer for the last second touch here. And it'll work out. It's just Freewin being a nuisance on the Hamster as usual. Get a little bit of extra ult charge. Buy a bit more time. And Faded Circle going down here, Ray. That even means SIUC may have to commit a sound barrier if this goes too fast. But Ranchi down as well, so there is no healing. This is what the ball comp is good at. It's making these fights last forever. You can not clean up these characters easily. You have to commit so much just to make it happen. Moo, 130 HP. Still no support to come back. It's only Little Newport that eventually cleared the way.
Yeah, I mean, and not using the mines there is extremely unfortunate. You will have Kitsune Rush and the Sundering Blade to be able to use, and they should be able to get a touch. They have a Tracer and a Wrecking Ball who should be able to do that, but they're also facing 4 staggering ults. Only had to use the Annihilation there.
Yeah, SIUC in the best position they've looked in terms of ultimates and resources for this fight all day. Even uses the Acid Shields and free win early. Sound Barrier doesn't do a whole lot, but make sure that there is no point congestion. SIUC Black, they'll get their first bit of percentage here, or rather capture on their map today. It'll be a good start for them considering they need a reverse sweep.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, and then great Sound Barrier to kind of force the positioning of the Sundering. The only thing I was worried about was the Sundering Blade goes through that overhealth, but they were able to mitigate the damage it was able to do. I wasn't sure if there was a Suzu there, but it just wasn't able to ultimately get the deal done, and because of that, no one was able to touch. So, great position. SUSC finally got some positive momentum on their side. They just got to keep it up.
Hey, they're on Lucio Kiri finally, Ray. Wonder if that had anything to do with it. All jokes aside, though, this has been looking better for SIUC. I think they look comfortable playing as a core. They've been focusing down individual targets for PNW Gold much better than what we've seen previously. And it should get them, again, this first cap on Junkyard. Gold had to go for a small regroup. Free win, of course. Will buy a bit of time.
Free win, taking a lot of damage, gonna have to be forced out pretty early. I do like the swap over to the cast with the Wrecking Ball and the Tracer available. It is going to be tough sledding for them to survive. Just look at that.
Yeah, that's a little difficult. I think that there's some parts of PNW Gold that I think might be starting to realize that, you know, we're getting picks. It's going kind of okay, but it's so scrappy, and you don't have anything to deal with Moo. The only time you can actually deal damage to Moo is either with an ultimate or when his entire team is dead, and that just hasn't happened so far for PNW Gold. And might now, though. Faded Circle catches himself on a mine, booped into it by Freewin, having a ball on this hamster for sure. But SIUC, I think they're happy with where they got that point to.
Could not agree with you more. Still going to have a high noon available for them to come back with, but that's mostly just a zoning ult. For the side of PNW, they are pretty even in the Kitsune rushes here, so Niobe going to have to look for something huge with his pulse bomb.
And Niobe definitely going to be on the hunt. There is a Suzu that could come out, so you got to be a little cautious of it. Although you're not really expecting to get that forced out unless there's some crazy level of execution type play. Will be the pulse bomb. Does go a bit wide over the shoulder of Moo there. So one less resource SIUC have to worry about. In fact, they're not worried about much. Niobe and Opal falling over in pretty much the same frame with the dives that were happening, and just like that, the NW Gold, they're scrambling. They're gonna commit the sound barrier, and it just wasn't in time to save Silky. Well, Newport zoning out most of the touching. With the Deadeye there, the last two players standing. SIUC Black, normally this would be a final fight territory for them if they could have gotten this flip earlier, but with how fast PNW Gold's comp is, there should be another fight.
Yeah, getting Maldini early and often in that fight. And if they can get these late staggers, this might just be the point cap to make this 2-0. Yeah, they might be able to have some rush touches, but they're not going to have the numbers. Getting Everal helps, but I don't know.
Yeah, and PNW Gold just were way too committed. They couldn't get out on that final touch. Freewin will live for quite some time, has another minefield to zone off the objective. But you don't got a ton of time to work with, and the sound barrier is still available for Franchi. In fact, he's going to use it to re-engage now on this next point. Freewin, good pile drive on the high ground, but there just hasn't been too much connection on the front line, but who needs it? Opal is finally coming alive here on this Vendetta. Boop off the map with the spin. That might be enough to help turn it around, but again, we run into the problem of Moo. Gonna make it hurt for PNW. They're gonna get that flip, and SIUC will find themselves all tied up here on New Joke City.
Man, so unfortunate. There was such a great position to be in for SUIC to make this a 2-0 and really apply the pressure to PNW, but it just felt like, you know, when these chaotic fights break out, this Wrecking Ball, Vendetta, Tracer, they're just able to sync up and find their kills just a little bit quicker than SUIC is able to.
Southern Illinois too, and that was an expensive fight you ended up committing to. You're not thrilled with what you have to go into this with your next point, but you did take away the only shiny button that Purdue Northwestern had. We're pretty thrilled about that, and we'll should have to clean up to follow on through. Well, Newport having a decent time so far on this Cassie, making it hurt for Niobe and Obel in particular. His first cap will go over to SIUC, despite Silky coming in.
Again, just an impressive, this round. If you can just walk on somebody and find a pick, there's a lot of power in being able to do that. As here we go, this next fight.
Yeah, Obel still has that Sundering Strike to work with, but not even gonna need it. There's that money pile drive the free win was looking for. Had Niobe on the safe wave flank, it's actually a triple kill in for the hamster.
Still plenty of tools at your disposal. If you're SUIC, you're going to have 4 big-time ultimates coming online with both your support ultimates and DPS ultimates.
Ooh.
Big slam coming in, though.
Yeah, I think the second perk is online for free win now, and it's made it a lot harder for SIUC Black to avoid getting one-shots by some of these combos as free win is farming on this point. You do get a little bit of extra percentage for SIUC. Will have a flip in order, but it won't be enough for Purdue Northwestern to lose the lead. So they're gonna come back with every ult, basically.
Yeah, I mean, they'll come back with every ult, but PNW has the ults to match them. The only thing they don't have is their minds, but not that big of a deal, especially when you're causing all this chaos in their backline. My goodness, free win. They're just trying to rotate.
Yeah, that's what you have to do on the hamster. You have to find where these kind of hold your hand and walk together death ball comps are vulnerable. It is on that approach. You're forcing cooldowns. While that goes, Obel Sundering Strike. Find a whole lot of nothing up on the point as no one from SIUC had made it quite that far yet. Free win continuing to harass in this backline. There's little that could be done by the Cassie player from SIUC. Sound barrier now out will help significantly with the pole spawn. Niobe managed to stick there. Purdue Northwestern, they can win this point right here, right now. Without Maldini, and their hopes kind of running slim. You don't necessarily want to commit the Kitsune Rush over to this fight. Silky seems to have understood that call. Gonna see how long they can buy the time for, but inevitably, it's looking like SIUC are gonna have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to force yourself out here. Like you mentioned, not using the Kitsune Rush for SUSC is huge because you're going to be able to match that, and that's the only ultimate of engagement Purdue Northwestern is going to have for this next one, so puts them in a very good spot, especially with a high noon as well.
Yeah, the high noon actually comes from the other side with a Newport coming up with 2, making this a 2v3, favoring SIUC, and they still have the Kitsune Rush from Faded Circle down on this objective, leading a rather low hamster to try to fight this one off. SIUC, that should be point caps. Now 1 more. They might as well get themselves on the board in this series as we walk to our next point.
Yeah, I was curious to see, if this keeps going this way, if PNW is going to continue to stick to the Wrecking Ball, and it does seem like they are going to continue to do this. We'll have to see. It's going to be a lot more open here, a lot more open space for the Wrecking Ball to be able to work with, so it might help a little bit more.
Yeah, I think the pile drives will be a bit easier to synergize with since you kind of know where most people are going to be set up. There's not a ton of cover for you to work with on the actual point itself. The PNW Gold, they're going to wait. They're going to see if they can find that opening that they really want with Niobe swapping over to that Cassie. I think it's been really difficult for them to find the same value that they have out of these pile drives for free win, and easier for SIUC to just walk at these less mobile targets, knowing there isn't a tank in the way.
Yeah, they're still going to have mines online. We'll see what they can do with it, but Ranchi with being so close to the sound barrier, worst case, you can just pop the sound barrier to try and deal with the mines. As we do see them coming out, but not much avail.
No, it doesn't do a lot. It moved. It definitely saw his life flash before his eyes. I'll give him that. And sound barrier will be committed. It's just a full rush on forwards. Niobe doesn't know what hit him before he's sent back to the spawn rooms. Looking so good here for SIUC. 2 more fights, Ray, and they could get themselves a map.
Yeah, I will say with Niobe going over to the Cass, that is a vulnerability of this Wrecking Ball composition that Purdue Northwestern is playing. That is a big, flashing, come walk on me for a Ramatra composition. They have no mobility if they just speed onto you.
It's happened the last 3 fights. As soon as we saw that swap SRUC, you're like, ooh, free food, bet. That's a college student's favorite thing, is free food. And Niobe definitely giving it to him there. The Zarya swap for free win will definitely help. Not only Niobe, but Obel as well. Deadeye now for a little Newport to attempt to make up for the lost Tracer. It won't be this fight, and it won't be now. SIUC, I think they were close. They knew it. It just wasn't going to be the fight for them.
Yeah, now the question is, now that you're on the Zarya, this is the more classic combo with the Vendetta to give them the extra sustainability. How does SIUC adjust? I mean, when you're trying to deal with the Zarya, basically you have to put down enough pressure to force out those bubbles early and then either look to run down. To me, because of what PNW is running, you either force the bubbles out and get on Neob, or you blow up the Zarya once you get the bubbles out.
This will be more of a resource game now instead of just walk it down at Niobe. And Obel having the bubbles happy as could be here. Be able to work with on this Vendetta, and Niobe still the main target. This flanking duel of Ranchi and Ivero working out well for SIUC to take an angle to approach. Obel fearing for their own life here up in the sky with the Sundered Blade, and Moo is there to hunt them down. Reminder, final fight territory for SIUC to close out the map. Moo falling, but it will not matter. SIUC, they're going to keep themselves alive in this series, Ray, and take map number 3.
And to me, this is just classic. We'll see how it continues to go, but I like the Ramatra composition, but it does feel like Purdue Northwestern stuck on that Wrecking Ball too long. The Zarya looked promising, but it was too little, too late. Maybe playing with their food a little too much.
Yeah, symptoms of overconfidence, I think it's what we saw from Purdue Northwestern, and if you're going to give a team any sort of window, I think SIUC, they recognize that. Like, if you're going to try to discount us, well, we'll show you how good we can play as a team. The Ramatra was working incredibly, having this Cassidy, this Tracer work out, and guess what, Ray, we're playing the Lucio Kiriko. It is real, it can exist, and I do believe that also worked wonders for them in this matchup.
Yeah, so now this is the first time we've seen things shift toward the side of Purdue Northwestern. They'll be able to pick the map. They'll get the first ban. So we'll see what direction they look to go, as we have only Escort and Hybrid left. So don't know exactly where they're going to go. But as we mentioned, they're almost guaranteed playoffs at this point. The win will basically, like, there's no chance they don't make it. So they got to make sure they secure this win. I mean, and SUIC, as I kind of talked about at the beginning, when your backs are against the wall and you're fighting for your lives, to come out in that third map and really have a great showing tells you everything you need to know about the character of those players.
Yeah, I think for Purdue Northwestern, they have a little bit less to play for, because they actually are already guaranteed for playoffs. It's that number 1 seed that they would be guaranteed for if they win here today. So number 1 seed is great. I think it's going to be super helpful going on into the next round. But I think SIUC, they have a little bit more fight in them just from the stakes of this game alone. And if you're going to throw them a bone, well, hey, Purdue Northwestern, you just threw more momentum into a team that was showing signs of life here in map number 3. It's going to be a lot harder, though, to replicate that on Hybrid or Escort, depending on where we go. We'll be Watch Point Gibraltar. The Diva ban was already used, Ray.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That scares me a lot for SIUC.
I was going to say, that gives me, Lijiang Tower flashbacks and how dominant that Diva composition was. They're going to be able to play it. We'll see the cast band coming in from PNW, which is interesting because, this is not really Cass's playground. This tends to be more of an Ash Widow angle, maybe even Emery, as the Wrecking Ball band comes in for SIUC. But I get it, but we all know they're playing Diva here.
Yeah, Diva is the best tank in the game by a pretty good margin right now, and this is the map that you are going to pull her out on. The map that, not nearly as high ground defensive. It's a lot easier to get there with some of the recent changes on it, but you're still playing dive. You're still going to focus on a lot of those same aspects, and it's a look that we haven't seen from SIUC Black. They've strayed away from a lot of faster compositions. They like to slow down the pace. They like their brawl. They like their death ball. Can't really do that here.
Yeah, the one composition we've seen them succeed in, as I mentioned, was the Ram. And this map, I mean, sure, you can force it. Is it going to be good? No. So this, I think it was a beautifully chosen map for the side of PNW, especially knowing that the Diva ban has been used. Like, they're like, we can go to Gibraltar and they can't stop us from doing what we're good at.
Yeah, they just kind of knew, like, we played dive, they haven't. Let's just end this now. I think was the mentality for Purdue, and especially taking away the Cassidy, Lil Portman, and found a ton of success on that particular hero. And it is one of the more annoying things to have to play against, especially as like a Tracer or Avenger if you really wanted to pull it out on this map, although I highly doubt we'll get a glimpse of it. I do wonder if the Widowmaker will make a reappearance here for Niobe. We saw it back on Coliseo as an option for their team, but for the time being, doesn't quite look like it. Will be the Ash Reaper with the Winston, so no Diva either for their team.
Which, I mean, totally okay. This is literally Winston's home map. Like, this is a great Winston map. So, I don't think that's, big deal at all. Going with the Ana Cat, which I've seen is a very greedy backline and can be punished. But if you play your positionings well, it can get a lot of value as well. So, it's a very feast or famine type of backline.
And they're going to look to get a nade right out the gates by the looks of it. I like this little cheeky play from Maldini and Silky. Yeah, they get the value. Unfortunately, no, nobody was home on that nade. And I think SIUC, this is great comp. You are going fast. You are full committing to this dive. You want to bum rush whoever you can find on the high ground for Purdue Northwest. And it will work very well into this Ana Cat comp. You said it's very greedy. It can be punished. I think this is the perfect comp to do it with.
100% agree. Everyone's just going to have to be on the same page going after the same target. But OBL is like, Ranchi, I see you there. You ain't hiding from me.
Yeah, not a chance. Oval locked him down to a one shot, one kill there. So Purdue Northwestern feeling pretty good about this. This Reaper doing a good job of holding down those narrow ways to get to the high ground in the tunnels. And Moo being DMAC, a little bit of stagger onto him too. Just makes it all that much harder.
Yeah, brutal stagger. Already minute taken off the clock. In this Tracer, Genji just hasn't been able to get in position to do what they need to do so far. Someone's just gotten blown up before something can happen. So, SUSC, I feel like you got to be a little bit patient, allow your Tracer and Genji to get in position, and then pounce.
It's a lot of staging, something we see with dive comps, whereas Moo wants to go in. Moo wants to be aggressive and see if they can get a solo kill, which it's Diva, you absolutely can. But with how prepared Purdue Northwestern are for it, because they don't see any other threats to draw attention, well, that's going to be a lot harder as Ranchi, again, is going to get caught out this time by Niobe. And SUC Black just going to back off.
Still plenty of time for SUIC. Playing patient, they will be coming up to ult the next fighter, so Silky has the nano to be able to throw onto anyone at this point. But Niobe, that's a great first pick coming in from Faded Circle.
Yeah, but you gotta see if you can continue to convert on it, because Freewin is here with a nano boost to answer right back with a triple kill into the back line. You're gonna give this guy the resources. We've seen him deliver every single time today. He's played a different hero on each map and has looked great on all of them.
Oh, this is not great. Get out of there. Okay, they're able to get out and get the health. Huge from Moo there to not get DMAC'd.
Yeah, Moo's
as now we see Maldini trying to get Silky into position. As we see the car already rounding outside of the tunnel, we see Moo taking a lot of damage though.
Yeah, it's nice that SIUC have been able to force the point. Like, it's made up for some of these staggers that we're seeing, but even then, they're so discombobulated right now. Purdue Northwestern, they're doing an excellent job surrounding, dividing and countering almost on this attack that SIUC have. They know that you're not all going to attack from the same angle. That's been taken advantage of more times than not.
Yeah, both your support ultimates are gone for Purdue Northwestern, so SUSC is going to have a moment of, they do have mood going over to the hazard now, but with both their DPS ultimates coming online and both their supports, they're going to have an opportunity here. It's going to be a window. They're going to have to make it happen where they're going to have a big advantage.
Yeah, and this is going to be the fight to do it with 45 seconds. How long it could be on this map, you got to make it count. The primal rage being forced from free win this early is a huge first step for this team, assuming they can live, and Ranchi having a hard time with that. He's thrown right into Niobe's sightlines with no way back. Fast reset now in order. They're holding on for one ult dump.
Yes, they're still going to have those 4 key ultimates, and the good thing for PNW is they only use the primal there. They might even be able to build up to a nano at this point. They're going to have Bob for stall, and then OBL's looking for a big Death Blossom here, because SUIC, as we mentioned, is going to have the advantage coming into this fight.
Oh, but a great stick from Yverl will open this wide open now for SIUC, but they just couldn't get the sound barrier off in time. Ranchi went down early, and Niobe's Bob is ready to clean up whoever else remains. SIUC Black fumbled their one chance they had here for one fight in Purdue Northwestern. They set that winning bar quite low.
Yeah, they never even ended up getting off the sound barrier, but the key was getting that Bob out before you died from Pulse Bomb from the side of PNW. Now their win condition is set to take this 3-1 and go up 6-0. It's just basically get the cart to round that final corner, and they will have done it. SUIC, man. We talked about reverse sweeping being pretty hard. I mean, with being first held like this, it's a Mount Everest of a climb at this point now.
Yeah, now heading into a map where I think this dive, a real struggle for SIUC, and backs up against the wall too, Ray. You gotta win this map if you want to push it to a map 5. But Purdue Northwestern, they've locked back in, and we're seeing those same shades of coordination that we did back on the first couple of maps throughout this series. And it's been kind of fun too to watch this Cat and Ana comp for Silky and Maldini work out as well as it has. But how do they replicate it now that these roles have swapped? It's be Ranchi on the Ana, but the Kiriko still for Fated Circle.
For PNW, it's no surprises here. They're just going to keep what was working. I think having the Vendetta Freya is very interesting. I mean, the Freya, this is a good map for Freya. I'm not too worried about it. It's just the Vendetta. It's like going to be very hard to get on top of this mobile composition. But I mean, I guess Niobe on the Ashe could be a good target for the Vendetta to get on top of. But also, it's not like you have a whole lot of tools. All you have is Defense Matrix, and you're already dead.
Yeah, and Defense Matrix doesn't do anything against Free Win. Free Win is on free reign. So, yeah, PNW getting the first pick, and basically the entirety of high ground control off of that is the best thing you could ask for a first push. Watch when Gibraltar, often a map we see teams take very slowly. PNW, it's pedal to the metal from this very first fight. An aggressive position set here from Mobile will make this all the more easier as they round this final corner just a couple meters away from the golden box of victory. And Yverl under so much pressure on this high ground. No, nobody's even able to get a touch in on the point. PNW absolutely speed run their way through map number 4, and that will leave them undefeated as they head to their last game of the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, that just felt like PNW was just like, all right, enough playing around. We got it. We flew a little too close to the sun and our wax wings melted, but we got everything back together. We got some new wings, and we just cruised to a pretty easy victory on Gibraltar. They didn't have to sweat on that map.
No, I think dive is a comfort zone for this team. It hits what their hero pools want to do, and the type of coordination Freewind, you can tell, is a real pillar for this team. Their engages, and that's exactly what you could want from a tank. It was just the way that Overwatch 2 has been, or well, just Overwatch now is being played. So congratulations to PNW on their 6th win of the season. That will block in that first seed for them. They have their one last matchup to be played next week.
And unfortunately for SIUC, that's probably it for this, like being able to make playoffs for this semester. The likeliness with being 2-4 at this point, being able to make it is not, great. So basically, you're playing for pride in the final week, going into the last week, trying to just get yourselves a win to go out on a high note and just continue to prepare and be ready for the fall next semester. And, then it's just focus on your finals and make sure you're all good in that category.
Yeah, I think you're pretty happy with how this regular season has gone. If you're Purdue Northwestern, you couldn't got in on a better note. For SIUC, not the ideal way to go down, but it did show that this is a team that will persevere. You cut them slack, well, they'll take that and they'll pull you right over any day of the week. So they did put up a decent fight. They made it a bit closer than what it initially looked like it would be from the beginning. So we'll have to wait and see what is left in store for them as they will also be heading to their final match.
Yeah, so once again, congratulations to Purdue Northwestern. Huge shout outs to SIUC for putting on a show, taking a map, That's got to be feeling pretty good if they are that. With that, we will be going to an hour-long break before we get to our next game. So don't go anywhere. It gives you a time to go get some food, go get a drink, and come back for our second game in 1 hour's time. We'll be back.
wish we stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts in my brain, but I got memories that run through my veins. I'm not one to blame, but I could point out every way that you changed. Some things stay up while others go right down the drain. And lately we've been going down in flames. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm my therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe it, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down. I don't know if I want to. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm seem to slow down. I don't know if I want to. 'Cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down. I don't know if I want to. seek to find is a world that's mine. Need a place to hide. Will you free my mind? Follow I'm trying to get to you. Yeah, I'm trying to get to you. I wanna get to you, cause I gotta get to you. I would climb 1,000 mountains, swim across the darkest ocean, cause I'm trying to get to you. Yeah, I'm trying to get to you. I wanna get to you, cause I gotta get to you.
but I've only stumbled over diamonds, and I no longer fear the worst.
frozen over like I am. Well, I know you know that like it's colder, colder when I'm older, older than I am. And I know you know that I have lost composure, but I'll hold you closer while I can. I never told you that I'm slightly broken, that I might lose focus when I am. I know you know that life gets colder, colder when you're frozen over like I am.
seeing in color. Lost without you, I can't make it through the night. How come I'm not seeing in color? How come I'm not seeing in color? So far gone, I'm caught up, infatuated by our symmetry. It feels like before now, I was only half of me. Thought that I had figured it out, never felt it rationally, but this sense of urgency has me wondering. Thought that I had figured it out, nothing could get through to me, but this kind of chemistry has me wondering. Running out around it, all goes black and white. How come I'm not seeing in color? Lost without you, I can't make it through the night. How come I'm not seeing in color?
It is time for match number 2 of the evening and the very last of week 6 for NECC competition. We're going to head up to Division 2 for our Overwatch side and look at the West Central region of North America with the University of Alberta taking on UC Santa Barbara for their matchup, and both teams on the hunt for playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, both teams could be in position to possibly sneak playoff spots away depending on how things go. So this matchup is extremely important to both of these teams. We see the rosters on screen as we got a little international competition going on between Canada and California. Both start with C's, makes it fun. I can't wait to see this start unfolding. I think it's been really nice to see the spring of esports coming out of Canada, whether it's St. Clair or University of Toronto. A lot of these programs are starting to really explode up there.
Yeah, there's a ton more competition to be played, I think, across North America. And that's like the big thing. People are like, US esports? No, it's North America. It's been this great uprising, too, especially in Overwatch and University of Alberta. A good example of that. This is Division 2, after all, the second highest that you're going to have in terms of competition tiers in NECC. University of Alberta currently at 2-2. They are coming fresh off a match against the college, like literally right before this, like 10 minutes they had a break before coming in, that they had lost 1-3, and then UCSB are at 1-3 throughout their record of the season. University of Alberta are favored. They have 3-0'd some opponents that were mutual that UCSB have lost to. So on paper, you got to acknowledge that fact, but you really never know what's going to happen until we actually get out into the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things you could always say is a lot of Overwatch is just matchup dependent. You could be a team who thrives in a certain comp and the other team plays a comp that just counters and you're not able to make the requisite adjustments. So we're going to have to see how that goes for both these teams. Both, as we mentioned, still vying for a playoff spot. So that makes things that much more exciting because there's just that much more at stake for both teams.
Yeah, it's definitely possible for the University of Alberta if they can continue to win out from this point. The loss against Cole College makes it all that much more difficult. Leave it up to tiebreakers, or UCSB may be out unless they can get some rather lucky situations to happen from the other side. We do have our first map pick in. It will be Lijiang Tower, as we're used to here on our NECC broadcast. I think every single game I've casted this semester, except for one, has had a map that is not Lijiang Tower to start. So, and you know what? We like it. It's familiar. And what isn't familiar, I guess, with these teams are two of our newer heroes. Domina and Vendetta Ray will be the bans.
Yeah, I mean, Domina seems to be one of those, especially on like a Lijiang Tower map. I've even seen it on like Flashpoint maps, but Domina seems to be very popular ban on these types of maps where she can really thrive, you know, easy walls for her to get pushes and stuns upon. So Lijiang Tower is one of those maps she's been thriving on. And Vendetta's just a menace. I mean, she has been gotten a lot of nerfs. I mean, now that they moved the perks around and she can't have the 2 busted perks anymore together, it's helped. But she's still good. So, I mean, we were during our break, we were watching the OWCC cast, and they were both playing Vendetta. So she's still good.
Yeah, if you have the hands to make it happen, especially the support of Zarya, it can be a real terror to have to go against. But won't be worried here for Lijiang. Tower is starting off on Night Market. This has seen more of a transition to dive compositions for the teams that are willing to play it versus being stricter on the brawl. And Kai and Katoa seem to be on similar pages for that, where as the Emre, pretty much mere compositions from the side, and it's going to continue to be that way, Ray.
Yeah, I really like seeing Emery making his way into the meta. I do feel like with all the micro buffs they had to give him because he wasn't super great at launch, he could use a micro nerf, honestly speaking, but it's really nice to see him getting his time of day. But Winston versus D.Va, D.Va's just a menace right now. I definitely think the D.Va's got the advantage just off the gate.
Well, that isn't less Citrus will get the better of Error 404. It was actually the grenade from downtown, and the Tracer duel almost won, but Akko can't let the final bullets. Let it get down to the wire there. So both DPS have found better at their counterparts, but it lets it at a 4v4 trade with these tanks just poking at each other, not really doing all that much crazy damage. It is UCSB Gold that tried to get more set up on the point, but as you said, the D.Va, so much more sustainability and mobility without a bubble. Kai, there wasn't much that he could do about it. UCSB, they'll have to take the 20 or so percent that they can get for the honor switch.
Not gonna lie, that is like my favorite gamer tag I've heard in a long time. Katoa! Oh man, and they're playing Mew. This is just beautiful. AKO already built up to a pulse bomb. I'm very excited to see where they're gonna go here. But I mean, just look at this ult difference between Kai and Katoa. And already a D.Va mech on the line, not even close to primal yet.
That's just how this matchup is. It's difficult for Kai to take the space that he needs or do so rather safely. You'll see Akko and Sheer will be locked up in this Tracer 1v1. Maybe with a support or two coming in every once in a while. In this case, the Suzu making that scary situation for Akko. Laoshu ends up falling to Stanley. He's also hovering in that corner, so a lot of emphasis put in controlling these side angles. But we once again find ourselves in a position where it's ending up at this 4v4 kind of situation that this time Alberta will be able to clean up. Error 404 has been getting a ton of value out of these grenades, and Akko said Sheer under lock.
I'm sorry, man. UA based names. Error 404 is another great gamer tag name. It's just great. But again, they are all just playing very beautifully. They're playing their angles very well. You know, Akko's doing a great job of putting pressure on the back line, which is allowing Error 404 to be able to take angles, and it allows Katoa to just get away with murder.
Yeah, you're perfectly happy with that. I'm kind of surprised we're seeing UCSB both commit when they are down, especially their Kiriko. This is final fight territory. Like, yeah, you get a couple of ults out on the other side, but was it really worth it in the long run of things, Ray?
Yeah, it feels like I mean, considering you're probably going to be able to get a touch here, you would have liked to have those ultra final fight. But you see Citrus getting off the Emery and going over to the Sojourn. But at this point, I mean, you probably have Primal to go pop it and go to point. But they got to go quick. They can't just sit here and wait.
I mean, you do have a Tracer. Kai still has Primal Rage too. Awkward bounce, a little sketchy, but UCSB Gold, yeah, you got the point touch, and you got Stanley to help get the rest of the team through the point. It's just not the way you wanted to do it. Sheer, though, fantastic stick onto Error 4-4 in the backline. These Tracers lighten up the kill feed, and with UCSB back in control of the point, you can tell they're confident with stepping forward and taking the fight over to the University of Alberta.
As that was every single ultimate available for the side of UCSB, but you're going to take that every day to Sunday because Alberta pretty much thrown everything they had as well. I mean, they're going to have a rematch from Katoa, but that's really about it. So you'll have a lot of sustain in this next fight, but it's not like they have like a press wide kill everything button.
No, you have to find a good tactical way to engage on this fight. And hey, shoving Kai into a locker and leaving him there, that's a great way to start it. If you're Katoa, again, having a fantastic time on this D.Va. It even has the self-destruct to use as an insurance. Might not even need it, though, with the way things are going for the University of Alberta. Error 404 and Laoshu coming up with one apiece. Being overtime, UCSB seeing how many more touches they can get, and Sheer doing a good job of stepping a toe in, stepping a toe out, not overcommitting and making sure the overtime lasts as long as it can. It buys a window to get Akko out of the picture with a nice kunai out of Hydro. But even then, without a tank here, there's just not much you can do. As UCSB Gold, Hydro will lay down the Kitsune Rush, and Sheer still alive, still kicking, and kicking members of University of Alberta out of the fight entirely. And some way, somehow, they're going to manage to clutch it up, and they better be giving Sheer a cookie for that one.
Yeah, that was all on Sheer, man. Sheer just put so much pressure onto the entire frontline. Pulse Bomb going to come out, not be able to get anything as a lot of these ultimates are coming online. Prodigy Queen getting close, but they lost Akko. This is looking bad for Alberta.
It is a Tracer. You still have 81%. You can take a full fight here, but definitely far from ideal, Ray.
Yeah, still gonna have their override protocol and the Kitsune Rush, but they gotta start making things happen right here and now. 94% and counting for the side of UCSB Gold. You gotta get to the point.
This ends.
Have the touch. Citrus will look to greet everybody with a nice overclock, and whoo, Akko absolutely cooked and shipped back to spawn. Arrow 404 override protocol up in the sky here. Seeing what he's able to get done. It's a bunch of chip damage with a sound beard from Stanley. Too well timed. And doing a lot to keep Kai up in this fight. He's been struggling to stay alive and get this damage done as opposed to Katoa. And it's really what it's going to come down to. These two tanks still kicking around this objective with Sheer helping assist this bubble. The healing that it has will guarantee the DMEC just can't keep Sheer on his feet. A full health Kai, though, how much can he do against the rest of the members coming back in? Well, he doesn't need to do anything.
Wait, what?
There won't be another touch. I think they actually ended up going down, and there was a boop on the outside as well.
Yeah, that Lucio boop coming in was so crucial for Santa Barbara. What a play, because that whole momentum shift was going in the favor of Alberta, so getting that C9 is absolutely massive. We talked about both teams fighting for their playoff spots, hopes and dreams, man. You just gotta love that clutch factor coming in from Santa Barbara.
Yeah, because you look at these stats right now, Ray. You didn't tell me the score. 100% University of Alberta is leading this game. It is not even close. 17-1 on Katoa. Only death there was the one at the end. And a huge shout out to Sheer for the stall, how well UCSB were able to play around that objective. And they're going to keep it pretty much the same for University of Alberta heading to this one. But a Ramoncha for Kai this time.
I like the idea of bringing the Ramoncha into the close quarters control center map, just because the Ramoncha has so much sustain. Even the Ramoncha got two little micro buffs coming into this with an extra 5 damage on the Annihilation and the extra 1 second less on the cooldown for the shield.
I mean, it helps with the front line for sure, but what really needs help is University of Alberta. They're struggling to win these flank battles now. Sheer has awoken on this map. Him and Stanley together have been a devastating duo. And just put the boop cherry on top for it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mentioned, like going into the map where it's close quarters, there's less like flankability for the Diva composition, and then the Ramoncha just has a lot of survivability, unlike what the Winston had, so it's going to match up that much better into the Diva versus what the Winston was able to do.
Yeah, it allows you to have a slower point, like better point presence for sure, which is needed, and there's just not much Alberta can do. You lose Prodigy Queen that early without her healing. I don't think you want to commit fully to a fight with how aggressive Sheer is willing to hold on this angle that we've seen for most of this round.
Excuse me, sorry. And then for the side of Santa Barbara, who's just been slowly just playing their angles, building up to their ultimates. The Citrus finds when it is traded out, so no more trades available for either side.
Yeah, which is going to hurt, especially for UCSB, relying on Sheer. A lot of this point presence so far. And with the Ramoncha form already forced out at Kai, there's not really much you can do to push back in. I think you're okay with Alberta taking the point for now, because you can come back in and leave the cooldowns for it.
And you'll be able to come back and really throw things off as they're trying to rotate with this override protocol, because that's a lot of the burst damage you need to try and not allow UCSB to be so bold with their pushes.
Want to be bold, and Alberta looking to shut them down, specifically Arrow 404, Noob Stanley with the help of Akko in the back, and Kai not faring that much better, overextended into the backline, perhaps expecting to get the Annihilation. Falling 6% short, so it'll be a second consecutive fight now for Alberta, but Sheer still committed the pulse bomb to it. It was flashy, but it doesn't do much.
To me, that's a huge plus for the side of Alberta and their hopes to come back.
And they're still fighting without Sheer, by the way. They think this is still a winnable situation. It was a 4v4, but I think you're going to come to regret that. It allows you no problem using the sound barrier to cushion the overcloak that Citrus had ready to go. And Alberta, they're going to hold on a little longer.
You know, I don't know how I feel. I was literally about to talk about how that was a huge mistake for UCSB until I saw the Kitsune Rush also come out with the sound barrier from Alberta. So that's both of their key support ultimates gone off the field. This Annihilation is essentially going to be free.
The Annihilation's free, the sound barrier's free. This should be a UCSB fight on paper. It's really, if they lose this, something has gone majorly wrong on their end, and here's that fast push that we were expecting. Everybody from Alberta did a great job at getting out of the fight. Katoa, the only one in any real danger of getting staggered, but you have to self-destruct just barely to get back in the neck, which will help. You're gonna have to take this next battle without Akko. If you even end up taking it at all, which it seems the team wants to back out for.
Yeah, I think that's just a smart decision, especially when you know you're down ultimates. If you haven't seen this Annihilation come out, that's one thing that is a little concerning for Alberta trying to come back, is there's not a lot of angles for them to push, and anywhere they push, you can just speed into them and annihilate, and there's not a whole lot they're gonna be able to do.
Not at all, and I think that's something University of Florida, you have to be ult tracking at this point. If Kai hasn't touched the button, you have to assume that he has it ready to go here, and he's holding such aggressive space because he knows that he can just use it as a second lifeline to get all of that armor health back. Sheer, though, still being a menace, giving Prodigy Queen an aim test of all time that, shockingly, UA are doing okay without it. They do eventually lose Prodigy Queen and try to TP back to the safety of her own team, but that was so much time away that Sheer had to burn. You lose the pulse bomb, and Katoa just ran down everybody else. That is what D.Va has proven to be the best at. They flip back over University of Alberta for the last couple cleanup kills coming in. We're going to even be a touch for this. It doesn't look like it, or at least not a good one.
To me, it felt like they just didn't have a plan, did UCSB, into that fight, Tiny. It was like they didn't proactively look to use this Ram ult with their speed and just used it defensively. And then they were just SOL because they were down one, had to use Ram ult to survive, and that was just not how you want to use it, generally speaking. Yes, you can use it as an extra survival tool, but not after you're down one.
Yeah, and it's kind of a similar pattern I think we saw from UCSB. They're very slow. They wanted to play reactive as opposed to proactive. And a lot of the one who was making that initiation was Sheer, who just could not nail down Prodigy Queen. She was way too survivable at that immediate moment, and it was difficult for the rest of the team to make something out of it. So we're, again, tied up. The stats looking insane. Katoa did not die. That entire round is still proving to be a massive thorn in the side for UCSB. We're going to head into the final round, and this is the most dive of them all.
Here we go. Winston versus D.Va once again. Gonna have to see how this goes initially. You know, the Winston was kind of forced off and early, but they were able to get a good C9 and make it happen.
We're kind of back to the Sheer show is what I'm starting to learn. If this guy can be unlocked, and the first to lock him down, Akko being the one to lose first, a bit more of an issue. You can tell respect the University of Alberta have for that. You're going to fully back off for that. Although they do end up losing Arrow 4-4 at the end, so it was all for naught.
Again, UCSB showing strong once again that despite, you know, kind of being, you know, in a tank differential battle where, not that they're getting dipped, but just, you know, on face value, the D.Va's better than the Winston. They're still able to really make things happen, and a lot of it is on the back of Sheer, just applying so much pressure constantly.
Yeah, I think if you're Akko here, you and Laochu really need to try to link up. That's what we've been seeing between Stanley and Sheer. It makes a lot of these side lane duels a ton easier. They're approached not from the bridge this time, which I do admire. The bridge is oftentimes a death sentence, especially with how Stanley's been playing. Look at him hunting for anyone who dared to step too close out there. Sheer already forcing the recall, has this pulse bomb in hand. Know that he's starting to look for it. When if there isn't anyone to come back and chase, Laochu smelling the danger. Pops the sound barrier out, which is great for Katoa. He can run it down as he pleases. Now will be the flip over now for the University of Alberta, winning the race to the Lucio ult.
Wow, and just clean coming in from Laochu. That was impressive for a Lucio player to do all that. So huge shout out to them. UCSB will be coming back to this next fight. They'll have a pulse bomb. They'll have their Kitsune Rush. And they're going to have it way before Alberta has it online. So this is their window of opportunity to look to re-engage here. It's Kitsune Rush quick.
Yeah, you want to do it fast, especially before Prodigy Queen can get hers up. It's kind of the window that UCSB have to work with. Suzu out, but and the late cooldown from Kai. That is not the situation you wanted to work with, and you can't save Citrus. They're gonna fall just as the sound barrier hits the ground. Katoa is gonna light up the kill feed once more. Disaster has struck for UCSB, but they don't think it's over yet. Hydro commits into this Kitsune Rush. Red carpet laid out for Kai. This is everything, plus the kitchen synced up thin for the Raccoons, and they're making it work, Ray, at least for a little while. DMEC is confirmed, although Stanley can't quite take care of Katoa before he's suited up again and ready to run him back down as a bit of a revenge. And Alberta, the longer this fight goes on, the better it is for them. They'll keep this point control going as much as they can, get an extra 15-20% off that stall alone before the flip happens.
Mostly because UCSB, I think, are still kind of down their supports here. Yeah, they're going to be forced to use Override Protocol. Let's see if they can find any picks with it.
Citrus, though, chunked so low by Arrow 404, will pluck them out of the sky mid-ult, and not what you want to see from an Emray, really relying on that damage. And Kai, not the healthiest to work with. And with the pressure Hydro and Stanley have been under, there just isn't any help to come on in. Alberta, they're going to take that point right back.
Yeah, losing their Lucio there after their Winston just wasn't an ideal situation. Still, they're going to have another 2 cracks at this. They just committed a lot to that fight, so they have to rely pretty heavily on Sheer to win the Pulse Bomb battle in this next fight, because Lao Shou also very much further ahead in this Lucio beat. And with all the time that's been wasted so far, this is essentially final fight territory.
Yeah, UCSB did have to wait a bit longer for that last respawn. It's Katoa going on an absolute tear on this Diva, and Lao Shou get another sound barrier up and ready to go. UCSB won't have one to match it in time if it's popped early, but Stanley, all he has to do is stay alive for the next couple of percent, and there's a real fighting chance for UCSB Gold. Of course, they need to win 2 fights here. Lao Shou, sound barrier down, will land onto all 5. Stanley, quick to respond. The overhealth will expend faster for the University of Alberta, but they have way more tools in the tank to be able to toll out, where it's UCSB running on fumes. Triple kill, quadruple kill, actually, for Arrow 404, fitting for the name. That is what will close it out. University of Alberta take Lijiang Tower 2-1.
Got himself a box combo there from Canes with that 4-piece. Did Arrow 404. And, you know, a highly contested, very close battle between both of these teams. University of Alberta able to get that done in the end. And yet this is that 4-piece that we saw there at the end. AKO able to get Sheer early in that fight, and that just allowed Arrow 404 to really capitalize and retake and just absolutely go insane. Again, that was a banger of a match. We kind of talked about coming in before. Would we get a good match? Would Alberta possibly? You know, they have the better record. Their common opponents are a thing that they beat, that UCSB lost to. But I mean, that was highly contested from both of these teams. I think we're in for a great series.
Yeah, map 1 proved that. That's what we were able to learn from there. And I do think that UCSB definitely have a shot within this game. Sheer was on a tear anytime he was not directly contested, and I think Akko was struggling to keep up for the better part of Lijiang Tower. The real difference maker was Katoa, I think, being on the Diva. Don't know if it's just not in Kai's hero pool. He may just prefer playing the Winston, which, again, nothing wrong with that. But you're almost making your own life harder in a way when you think about how these two things are being played. The over-reliance on Sheer is a bit rough. When Sheer does stuff, oh man, does he do stuff. But when he gets shut down like he did at the back half of the Gardens round, there's not a ton that you're able to do about it, at least from what we were able to see in the remnants of that map.
It's going to be the big question to me is going forward. Are they going to lean into the Winston compositions or lean into like the Ramacha that we saw in Control Center? I mean, because if you want to lean into Winston, I feel like you go to Gibraltar and ban the Diva and try and play it out that way. Excuse me. But if you want to go more of the Ramacha route, then maybe you go to more of a brawl-centric map, you know, like a New Junk City or one of the Flashpoint maps, possibly even maybe like a Shambali, where Ramacha tends to do pretty well. But I guess we're just going to have to see. Only time will tell.
Yeah, it will depend because we do have a different map pool now, I believe, for our top divisions that we've been working with. So there's a couple shakeups that we've seen from there. We'll see if that has much of an impact. I think there's quite a few options for UCSB. Again, very close map one. I'm not really ringing any alarm bells yet. I do want to see where, especially this ban phase, will end up taking them as a team, and it showed that they were warm up. I think them coming into this fresh is helpful. Like, you have a little bit more endurance, where is University of Alberta, they had to play a full series right before this game that they ended up losing, actually. So that's a bit of a difficult transition to make, and it does leave a little bit of room for UCSB to maybe find a couple of weak points that might not normally be there.
Yeah, I think both teams definitely have their strengths and weaknesses. So I think each team probably can take what they learned from that map and see where they want to go and how they want to exploit that going forward in the series. So that's going to be the big question: is how are the flexibilities of these tanks in general? Because like, we definitely saw the Ram and the Winston out of the side of UCSB. We've only seen D.Va so far. I mean, I get it. D.Va's a demon warlord. So I think just going to have to see how things go if D.Va is not at their disposal for one of these maps going forward.
Yeah, and I've casted University of Alberta a little bit at the tail end of last semester, too. Katoa is a flexible player. If he wants to pull it out, we will see some of those brawler picks, such as the Ramatra, in later maps. So I don't think there's much of a doubt that the University of Alberta can't be flexible, but it's more of a matter of the playstyle, and I think the bans could come into effect. We will be going to Runasapi on accordance of UCSB, so this leaves the door a bit more open, I think, to a lot of what we saw on Lijiang Tower, and to run both either this Winston-type dive composition, or maybe run it back with that Ramatra Brawl, or Domina, since she'll now be available.
Yeah, that's the other point, is the Domina now being available. Once again, are we going to see teams try and venture into those types of compositions? Is Runasabi just going to more lead itself to more D.Va Winston dive? It's going to be a big question as we see the Sigma ban coming in from Alberta with UCSB saying, all right, enough of this Tracer nonsense. Let's play something else.
That is kind of shocking, too, because Sheer was the really bright spot for UCSB in map number 1. So taking that away, I'm curious what else he's planning on pulling out, because you're not going to ban that without a very specific plan in mind for where he's going to go.
I mean, Vendetta's available again.
That is true. That is back up. You do bring up a very valid point, Ray. Zarya Vendetta on Runasapi, that might be the flavor of the day, honestly. I guess, yeah, it's a bit weaker with some of those smaller nerfs that we've seen come in. It's easier to counter, which is good, but it's easier to counter. If you know how to play against it, then it may be a bit of a struggle. We'll see if UCSB even decide to go that route as our timer whittles on down, and you may be onto something, or at least part of something.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the one who said Zarya Vendetta. Just saying, you're the one who added that flavor into it. I just said, hey, Vendetta's available. Anyway, as we do see UCSB looking to sojourn down into that Domina route for the side of Alberta, they were trolling a bit there. I wasn't going to talk about it. They will get Katoa over to that D.Va, and they're going to have Akko go over to the Vendetta as well. Both teams taking a break from the Emery, though, both looking to play Sojourn this map.
We're in yet another mirror match with everything but Kai and Katoa. They've never had the same idea of what they want to play, and for the sake of Katoa, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The D.Va looks fantastic in map number 1. It can work very well here. If you do struggle against a Vendetta, if you can't put distance and sheer exist for too long, but in this sake, it doesn't really matter. I think the Domina, enough of a deterrent that Kai really made this one work, set up a lot of plays, and sheer, you can see, was all over that backline. So a swift fight win for UCSB.
Yeah, very impressive start to that fight from the side of UCSB. And again, we kind of talked about it, at least from the perspective of the Domina, being able to need to put pressure on her so she can't just hang from a distance and put a lot of damage on. The problem with that is you're going to have Sheer also diving your backline and being in your face on this Vendetta, as Akko has already swapped over to Genji.
Yeah, perhaps looking for a more stable approach. You can synergize a bit better with Katoa on this, but Still not in the best shape in terms of how Genji has been played lately. Let's see what Akko able to get done here. It does force Sheer away for the time being, as Kai's shield doesn't last nearly long enough to hold on to this choke error 4-4. And Katoa working to chunk it down, but even then, you don't really want to sit in the face of Kai. Katoa just has to go right past him, see what he's able to do, get a couple of shots in, but there just hasn't been any eliminations. And you know what? UCSB just grabbed the spawns right in front of the University of Alberta. They just swept it out from under them, and there wasn't even a fight that happened. It's only now that we're seeing the eliminations come through.
Man, a Vendetta gets available and Sheer is like, hold my drink, I'm going on a tear. This is just insane. It feels like we're watching a completely different series with the domination we've seen so far from UCSB, and Alberta has zero answers.
Now, it's very difficult to work against this Vendetta. You don't have any form of hard CC, really just a boot from Laoshu is all that you have to defend against Sheer, and even then, likely not going to result in an elimination. Prodigy Queen, again, being the first one to go down. Sound barrier out from Stanley. Nothing to match the University of Alberta. Still looking to get round down. Yet, again, near flawless here on this point. Self-destruct is committed. I wonder if that will lead to a swap from Katoa. Let's keep an eye out on that.
As we see already, more and more pressure already forced out Suzu from the side of Prodigy Queen. They will have the support ultimates advantage. Problem is, Sheer's going to have the Sundering Blade, as we talked about. The Sundering Blade eats through the overhealth of the beat, so you have to find another answer for the Blade.
The Blade is out, and Citrus is cooked. That was a great combo, too. You know that there wasn't a sound barrier to come through. That was a great play. It gets Alberta on the right track, but I wouldn't say they're stable yet. This is still a 3v3. Albeit, it is the main support, or rather, most of the healing in Hydro that is missing for UCSB. Katoa shouldn't have too much of an issue cleaning up, with the exception of Kai. As the Panopticon available, highly doubt we're going to see it come out, though. Decent amount of time bought. Still 6.5 minutes left to go if Alberta can make something of it.
No, they got forward spawns and everything they needed. They're just going to sit pretty and look to take the next fight. Akko has now swapped over to the Echo, so no more Genji as well. So as we talked about, a lot of burst heals, a lot of kill confirmation potential, but they still got to be worried about this Panopticon, but they do have a Kitsune Rush to try and help out with it.
Yeah, I want to see this as initiated for the fight. Prodigy Queen, oh, she read my mind. We are going straight in. Kai doesn't have to use the Panopticon. I was expecting that to be more of a defensive tool. He's going to have to hold it until most of these cooldowns are burned. You have such a lead right now, you're okay with giving up a bit of payload progress if it means you can leave and take the better fight. That is 3 people locked up in the bubble, and it's easy pickings for Sheer to help clean up once again.
Yeah, you do get Citrus, who will get the bad spawns, but already Stanley already going to go over and try and help out with that and speed them over. You're at the wrong spawn door, Stanley. The forward spawns got taken away, buddy. But we're now coming up in a situation. UCSB has their support ultimates online once again, as Alberta is rounding, getting close to their DPS ultimates. So that's always a nice little thing to see, but they got in the Vendetta.
Yeah, I think Akko swapping over to this Echo is one of the best things you can do to shut down Sheer and what he's been able to do. But man, still a 1-for-1. Not the best situation with the Kitsune Rush unmatched. Hydra's making sure everybody from Alberta, they can either stay and die, or they can try to run away and live. And even then, they're broken and beaten on this final corner. I want to wait to get some of those health, maybe a couple of those ultimates up. It'll just be a nice body block, in fact, from Katoa to deny Kai's escape and perhaps a DC that occurred in the middle of that fight, as we have a quick pause coming on in here. And I gotta say, Runasapi really turned this series on its head.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very close, tight-knit, contested Lijiang Tower. You get to Runasapi, and the Vendetta is out of the ban jail, and we just see Sheer just go on an absolute tear. Have, like, seeing the echoes we talked about come in, but so far it's all been UCSB on this map.
Yeah, UCSB, they look so comfortable on this Domina, on this Vendetta, and just that first map bans, Ray, seemed to do them in.
And they're going to have 4 ultimates to work with for this next fight. It should be a good opportunity for them to try and catch back up on this meterage distance. They have to start getting some in their favor. Like getting the forward spawns ASAP is of the utmost importance.
Yeah, and you have the tools to do it. All it takes is a well-timed barrier from Stanley. Now flip it all on its head. So you either need to find him first or run away, because Citrus, they have other plans for you. Overclock already claimed the life of Error 404. Looking for Akko in the sky. Forces the duplicate. That not ready. Loses the vast majority of his health bar. Vendetta won't get much done other than make sure he stays alive. Stunned out of the extra ultimate too. It's a heavy investment that we kind of expected the University of Alberta to make. But perhaps a little bit more than they wanted to chew on. For this exact point, Sheer still alive and they get it hurt. For the University of Alberta, they need to deal with him fast, or at least Kai get that one off the boards. Everybody else should be retreating or dealt with quickly.
Yeah, big time win for the side of University of Alberta. I was worried about the ult commitment they laid into that fight, but they're able to get it in the end, and they still have their Kitsune Rush and their Overclock to work with. UCSB gonna have to get a lot out of the Sundering Blade and the Panopticon combo, but it should be enough to hopefully clean up this fight, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, and they're gonna just wait. They knew there wasn't really a good chance stopping the forward spawns anyways, so that's already a win for University of Alberta. Even them losing this engagement, it gives them a chance, an aggressive TP from Ninja Queen to lay down this Kitsune Rush on the high ground. I love that call from the University of Alberta. They're gonna try to make it work. I mean, Kai, there's nowhere that he can run in a small room with an Echo at his back and Winston pushing him forward. This Akko Echo swap was the best decision they could have made. For this extra push, it's helped shut down Sheer, and what looked to be unwinnable, University of Alberta might be changing our minds.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time on the clock for them to make something happen. They did use their Kitsune Rush there, but they're able to keep their Overclock, and their duplicate becomes online to still combat the 3 ultimates UCSB is going to have.
So many ultimates, 3 popped in basically the same frame for UCSB, but you'll get the value out of at least 1. But I'll go for Kai, not a trade you want to be taking. UCSB with no tank and running around like chickens without heads, so at least Stanley seems to have a little bit of a head. Gets Error 404, that will help in the long run of things, but it's not going to stop this robot from taking the lead.
They might actually take the lead here, and it looks like we might be getting a touch in just in time, and we will from the Vendetta, but it's looking not so great, but they get Prodigy Queen.
Yeah, it got Prodigy Queen low enough that even when she TP'd away, Kai had the range to go ahead and clean her up, so that is not going to be the lead, in fact, for University of Alberta, but UCSB, they saw that lead disappear in real time.
Yeah, Sheer coming in to be the savior, get the touch, and still live. UCSB is not going to have any ultimates online, though, so this is Alberta's chance. They're going to have 3 ultimates. Using 1 or 2 here to win the fight and trying to use the rest of them to try and take the lead has to be what they're looking at right now.
Yeah, it has to be decent pacing in terms of the ult, especially with how far back the robot is already walked, canceling those forward spawns. You get 1 really good shot at this, and UCSB, they know it. They want to whittle down this time as much as they can. So they're willing to give that space, not try to force a fight in main, unless it comes to them first. Which, as risky as that might be, it can work out in a sense like this. And a duplicate onto Lucio might work out, honestly. With Laoshu kind of dead at the moment. If Akko could manage to get a sound barrier up, it would be huge, but he just can't find the targets. Everyone races around the corner, eventually manages to make it land, but the overhealth disappears just as quickly as it came up. And Katoa, being in his primal rage form, bought a ton of space, but can he get out alive? Yes, blast boop on the Kai, secured the elimination, and Alberta, they're gonna keep this going. 1 final fight.
Uh-oh, here we go. You got to make sure you stay alive for these final touches for this side of UCSB Gold to get everyone back in time. It will be a lot of ultimates if UCSB can make this fight last for a long time. Alberta's only going to have support ults.
And even that, it's not going to work out super well because you have this overclock from Citrus and completely denied by the sound barrier of Laoshu. Kai, Panopticon coming on up here. Prodigy Queen is dealt with, had to TP aggressively just to stay alive. And UCSB, They're so close to denying this, just a couple meters away, but it's these two tanks that are battling it out. Who has the better sustain here? And with Sheer being as healthy as he is, that is a damaging blow you don't want to mess with. Sundering Strike up, and Akko chopped in two. Alberta, they were so close, they made this run back, Ray, but they're seeing it slip out of their fingers just as they found the solution. UCSB will come firing back, and we're going to tie the series up at 1-1.
Yeah, huge clutch ups coming in from UCSB there at the end. And on the final fight, they just had the better ult economy and was able to get it done. Huge shout outs to them as they tie up this series 1-1 as both teams, as we mentioned, fighting for their playoff lives.
Yeah, UCSB, they know what they like to play, and it's this Domina, it's this Vendetta, and both those heroes are in a fantastic spot right now, and there's not a ton of teams, I think, that are playing that specific composition either. And so something that you will have to learn to combat, especially since Katoa doesn't seem to have it in his hero pool, or maybe does, just haven't pulled it out. At this time, adjustments were made. I think the Akko Echo switch was a step in the right direction, but at the end of the day, they were just too far behind to make the comeback, and a lot of it was, again, Sheer playing the objective.
Well, folks, we have ourselves a series on our hands. We're going to take a quick break and let these teams take a breath, figure out their plans going forward, and how they want to continue this series. We're tied up 1-1. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Like we said, you never know what's going to happen until you actually take the match out on the battlefield. And that is what this series has delivered to us so far, as we find ourselves tied 1-1 for our Division 2 match in University of Alberta. Ball back in their court. There's now their map pick and first ban, Ray, after struggling against the Domina Vendetta comp.
Yeah, the question is, where do they look to take us to? Watchpoint Gibraltar makes sense, considering we've seen D.Va and Winston out of their tank. So the question is, where do they look to go with the ban? I mean, we saw on the OWCC channel right now that BSC is forcing Domina on this map. I don't think it's the most ideal thing, so I don't think you have to force that ban here. As we see the Widow getting banned for Alberta and the Kiri banned for UCSB.
Interesting. All right, so the Widow ban, and it's Widow, it's Watchpoint Gibraltar, snipers like sniper things. Fair enough, but the Kiriko really tells us that they want to force like an Ana Brig or maybe the Ana Jetpack Cat or something with those types of heroes, that combination that we could see. But it does make sure that University of Alberta can play this D.Va composition that Katoa has been pretty married to throughout this game, and it forces Kai back over to the Winston.
Which again, we saw the Winston into the D.Va previously on Li Jiang, and it had mixed results. Let's just say that. So I think on a map like Gibraltar, where there's going to be a lot more open space and area for D.Va and Winston to work, I think that's only going to accentuate the reasons why D.Va's the busted tank right now, and Winston kind of struggles into her a little bit.
Yeah, and we got to see it from map number 1. I mean, just in the stats alone, Katoa, 1 death and almost double the elims that Kai was able to pull up too. And it's just the power that D.Va has when she enters the battlefield, and how Katoa was playing her. Will be Akko still on this Tracer though, and we're kind of back to that Tracer 1v1 with Sheer and Akko, and I want to see how UCSB play around that, because Sheer is going to be on payload duty for most of this point.
The one thing I'm very perplexed about, Tiny, is the Lucio Ana. To me, that is one of my least favorite support combos. We'll see how UCSB makes this work.
Yeah, and I think there's an opportunity for it. It helps like with the speed. You can have dive presence, I guess, but it also just does what Brig does, just not as stable. I think that's Stanley's idea of taking it. You can be in multiple places much faster. Yeah, the Ana Brig, really classic here. And the Prodigy Queen on the Ana. Lao Shu acting as her bodyguard for now. Because UCSB, they claimed the high ground. Didn't have any eliminations to show for it. It was just great time dives and low positioning takes, forcing the rotations with Prodigy Queen and Lao Shu.
Yeah, Katoa has been taking a lot of damage in these mid fights as they're jostling for positions and such. Citrus, I think being on the Ashe is a big part of that. Ashe just throws down so much damage, especially if you hit your dynamite. Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's easier for Citrus to get value, but if air like that gets a charged real shot, it's kind of over. You don't have the same consistent poke, or you're not really worried about fall-off damage as much either on this Sojourn. There are 404. Making the first elim count as we are over a minute and a half in, if we can believe that, by the time that actually came on through.
Again, a map like Gibraltar, time goes by really fast because these fights are just super setup heavy, super paced, and then once things happen, you know, it happens, and then you get the points really quickly, but the fights just take forever to finish off.
As I said, the staging phase, and it's kind of where we're seeing Kai right now. There was a nade there from Hydro earlier. That one won't land, but it puts the supports in an awkward spot under pressure. The peel has to come in, but Kai knows we'll have this Primal Rage on up and gets the rally out of Lao Shu to defend his Ana player. Do that much work, where Citrus falls to Akko on the opposite side of the map. It's just the power of this Ana Brig. You can't really deal with them alone, so you have to make sure you're finding value on the trades on the opposite side. So get Katoa out of mech. It's just Akko that you're really worried about, but a fantastic sleep start from the Hydro puts him to bed permanently. University of Alberta. Now that's actually something they're a little more concerned about. But UCSB still don't have the numbers to push.
Yeah, I was going to say the numbers are definitely on the side of Alberta, especially with the spawns where they're at right now. Pulse Bomb's going to come out. It's going to just barely miss, but Katoa's been found and is dead.
Yeah, well, didn't get back into the mech and was hiding in the corner. Trying to see if he can get the extra charge. It's not going to get out for much. Fair 4-4 now. As the overclock, great whip shot allows you to deny the high ground. There is still a touch to come in from Akko to buy time for Katoa to get back into the fight, but won't last long. Capture eventually will come through for the Raccoons. So they're going to make their way into the second point. They're grabbing anyone else they can find from Alberta along the way.
Yeah, super unfortunate scenario. If you would have been able to get that mech back from the side of Katoa, maybe you're able to hold there in first point hold, but once you lost your diva, that was pretty it, and this is a disgusting stagger. They're going to get so much free distance. They're going to get beyond the bridge before you're even able to re-engage. They will be able to re-engage with a pulse bomb with nothing online for UCSB, so Alberta has a chance to make something happen with this pulse and incoming nano.
They're gonna try. It was a great stick from Akko. Has managed to explode Citrus. I might get more than one there for a second, but UCSB will be happy. Just have the one Elam. But the rest of them, they're corralled in this room. Not sure what Akko was thinking there. Perhaps the Katoa to engage a bit further, but it just wasn't happening with the amount of players or curled up in that doorway. So much traffic to have to work through. Will be a nano boost now on the Katoa. We're gonna get yet another trade, but who's contesting the payload? It's still moving forward. That was real sketchy for a second. Katoa will turn around eventually. The support's under pressure from a primaling Kai, very similar to last point. And this Winston doesn't have the health to deal with it. Both supports are occupied, dealing with the opposite dive. Everyone's gonna manage to live, at least stabilized for the University of Alberta.
No, they got
I
it!
still think it's winnable. No way! Kai booms them off just long enough to make it happen, and Akko definitely kicking himself for that one.
Oh no, so unfortunate for the side of University of Alberta. But sneaky play coming in from Kai. There's now cleanup duties coming in for the rest of the side of UCSB. They're just taking advantage of the opportunities they get. I will say, all in all, Alberta hasn't given them that many, but the two opportunities they've gotten, they've used it to cap.
Yeah, and the prep rates from Kai have been fantastic. Like, it's not getting kills, but it does so much to get the rest of the UCSB team in positions that they want, and even force Katoa to match the Winston eventually. And there's that Tracer kill. We knew it was going to come eventually, but this time it is on to Akko instead of Sheer. Pulse Bomb goes out, ends up going wide, and Primal Rage from Katoa in the back line. More so a stall tactic at this point, just to get back on the objective, make sure everyone has time to respond. And I guess that's the advantage of having a Lucio. Who cares about that? If I have a sound barrier and basically infinite health, Citrus flying in, no fear in the world. They'll come up with a double. And Alberta, they're on their last legs. UCSB are moving in.
Yeah, it looks like Akko has been found and gets just sent back to the spawn room. They just have to clean up these last couple of kills, and they should be bringing this cart all the way to delivery.
Almost getting the kill on Stanley, and it would have worked had you not needed to come back to contest the point with how close it is. Kai overstepping, though, leaves the door open for a potential stall. Prodigy Queen has the nano. Gonna throw it onto Arrow 404. See what he's able to get done with it. Slide on out. Citrus won't do much at 2 HP. And looking for the supports that are curled up in the back line. Stanley somehow gets the kill of all players. They come back. It's Sheer. It's basically a cockroach at this point with how long he's been able to survive on these final stalls. Just unlocks the beast in him, and it's working out the best for UCSB. They're just fighting to get through this final minute. Makai again overextends, and we are right back to where we started. Sheer wants to close it out, but it just doesn't have the team power to make it happen.
Yeah, with the spawns being that much more close for the side of UCSB, for the side of Alberta, it's almost impossible for them when they're trading to be able to get this done. 1.97 meters and counting with Sheer going down. Feels like you should just do a full reset at this point.
Sheer lives through all that, but eventually falls when Akko turns more attention towards him. Rally on out for Laoshu in response to the Primal Rage, and that's going to do it. Between that and the Bionade for Prodigy Queen, no tank and one shot for UCSB.
They will. Both sides are going to have an extreme amount of ultimates. Both sides have 4 at their disposal. I'm really curious. This orbital ray is known as one of the best ultimates in this game. Can UCSB take advantage and get these last few meters?
And they're going to have the sound barrier to do it. I just don't see a way in which you don't just steamroll on this point. That is 5 ults, mind you, or 4 that were popped simultaneously. UCSB is like, you've stalled long enough. It is our turn. Give us this point. They'll take it in overtime. Full completion for Watch Point Gibraltar.
And now the pressure goes back to the University of Alberta's feet. They have to full cap this, or they're going to be down 2-1. And we kind of talked about earlier, they had their match against Co College and ended up losing that. So if they get down in this series, does that start to creep in once again? It's like, man, we just lost to Co College. We had this. We were up 1-0, and now we've lost 2 in a row.
Yeah. What can you do against a UCSB team that seems to be getting better and better each map that we're watching them play? And I think this time we got to give flowers to Citrus, and they've been pretty silent for a good part of this. Like, yes, made an appearance here and there, but on the Sojourn and even the Ash a bit on point number 1, they've really made their name known. And 20-6. Double what we're seeing from most of the other teams, especially in Error 404, that hit scan counterpart. So when we start to see these sides flip on over, same comps, which is to be expected on a map like this, Ray, but fundamentally, I want to see how University of Alberta can convert on some of these dives.
We're about to find out how they are going to respond, which is crazy because Alberta's actually playing the more classic comp on this map with the Brig Ana, but the Lucio Ana ended up finding its value. I mean, they did have to swap up a lot of things in the end to get that across, but still, the Brig Ana just didn't ultimately for sure get its full value that it needed to.
No, I think it helps with the long-term sustain, but Brig is also a sitting duck. Stanley has options. You're not just attached to Hydro's hip the entire time, and you probably should be with the Winston. Fantastic bio nade though from Hydro. That's on a 3. Could have been a bit scary if there wasn't engage set up. There won't be that time. Bio nade and Prodigy Queen won't land either. It's just about, again, small steps. How do we get this payload around the first corner? Well, you're really not, because Akko is dead, and he was the one who was putting the pressure on the objective. So we'll see small reset here if Katoa can manage to stay alive.
Yes, University of California Santa Barbara has really been strutting their stuff since, second map came in. Now this map, they're looking just as dominant. Let's see if they can continue this energy, but so far so good.
Been consistent. They're not overstepping, but they're also not letting themselves get engaged on. That's the combo you're afraid of. Prodigy Queen hit with a bio nade. The sleep is just enough to keep her on her feet with a little help from Laoshu. That was sketchy as it was, but Akko again, just not having a good time with Citrus. Might have a citrus allergy, honestly, with the amount of times I've seen that exact kill feed matchup come on in. But Katoa used the opportunity, jump on the high ground, gets all the space. So the baby steps have finally turned into one big step forwards. But Kai wants to reverse all of it, jumps onto Arrow 404, manages to live, and Citrus is still on this streak.
This is just mind-boggling. This UCSB roster is just going crazy. Citrus has really stepped up on this map on the Sojourn, and Sheer has still been doing Sheer things. Get the Pulse Bomb, finds Laoshu.
That'll definitely help stop the bleeding that was kind of started by Kai dying. So you're still gonna have space. The University of Alberta will eventually take this high ground once Katoa decides to take a leap there. What you couldn't do is that. Citrus could have easily backed off and gone with the rest of his team, but their team. But because of that now, Ray, they lost so much space and potentially the objective because of it. Pulse Bomb goes out
now.
on
Pulse
the
Bomb
Kai.
comes. Yeah, Kai goes down now, and it's just disaster striking. But with the distance the card has gotten in the stall coming in from Sheer, they will get another opportunity. They will have a Nano. They will have an Overclock and a Primal. This is going to be quite the fight for these teams. It's going to just come down to who gets aggressive with these ultimates and makes the big plays.
And honestly, I think if Stanley manages to get a sound barrier up here, might be game over for the University of Alberta. I don't think there's many ways that you can fight through it, and the Nano boost will come out early. just the player you want, but Stanley will end up falling, and Hydro not faring all that much better, so the support line removed from the Raccoons. Whereas all that we're have to rely on is Laoshu, but whew, Citrus making him work for it. He ends up with 2 final blows in this fight. I just don't know if it's going to be enough for this team, because Kai, again, overstays after the Primal ends, didn't have supports to fall back on. We're in the final 37 seconds, and it's got a counter dive strategy on the attack. It's working wonders for the Otter. They're going to get themselves first point with 3 minutes of the clock.
Yeah, and University of Alberta is able to hold on to a lot of key ultimates. They're trading out right now, but I mean, at this point, it's all just in favor of the side of University of Alberta. Still got that overclock, still got that nano, and now they get to take power positioning up on this high ground and set themselves up very good for the second point. Which is when you're playing Winston with the Brig Ana, being set up for your dives and your attacks are going to be that much more important.
Great Bionate in the back of Prodigy Queen. I don't know if she has too much follow-up on it, though. I saw the overclock come out, wondered if he would see a sound barrier, but Stanley thought everybody was safe, which they were, until Citrus got too curious, and Curiosity kills the cat in that instance. So, the Honor,
hey,
they're gonna move on forwards. I mean, there's no cat. Okay, you're right. There is a cat in this game now. I don't know if I can say that anymore. They're making me think about this. But hey, maybe you have more luck on your side. This time the sound barrier will come through for Stanley. Use the sustain against this nano to Winston in the back line, which will help. Getting Hydro out of the equation means Kai on a bit of a short timer here if he starts taking too much damage. But Katoa really just has the primal rage. You can buy a lot of space. It's really up to, are you going to commit now? And the answer for the Honor is absolutely yes. With the final blow coming through onto Stanley. Toa beating everybody else away from the payload, clearing the doors like, team, it's time to go in. I've cleared the path for you. That's exactly what will happen. Minute and a half remaining for just this point as we're getting time whittled down a little bit more, a couple of extra seconds. They'll get there eventually. And now this gets a lot closer, Ray.
Yeah, I was going to say, once they got Stanley down, committing the primal rage was absolutely the right move from Katoa to get that across the finish line. And they still get a rally to save as well as a pole spawn. The only issue they have to really deal with is Citrus's overclock, especially if they put a nano on top of that. Not sure if that's exactly what they're going to do, but the overclock can just do a lot of damage through that rally anyway. So just be wary of Citrus. We've talked about them having a citrus allergy, so let's see.
Yeah, Citrus been having a game, I gotta say. I don't think you were gonna pop an overclock on 50 health, and you just use the Nano Kai strat instead, which can work very well, especially with the the rally being expended. It's harder to defend against it, and the Bionade is beautiful from Hydro. Straight onto Prodigy Queen, and makes the cleanup on Laoshu just as easy.
Pulse Bomb's gonna come in and get Kai on the exit, so that's at least a window where neither team has their takes. It feels like the spawns are pretty even on both sides, so no one's going to have a huge advantage there. Error 404 going to have this overclock, but the ultimates for UCSB on this defense are staggering, 4 of them coming online.
And we're again back to the point that Stanley, get a down barrier. It's starts to get a little sketchy now for the Honor, especially with how little time is remaining on the clock. Citrus stage a couple of overclock blows with error across the map. Neither end up losing all of their health bar. They're okay with that for now. It's the nano from Prodigy Queen out onto Katoa. As they try to make these trades. They know that Kai has the primal in the back line. It's real scrappy to say the least. It is a 3 for 3 to my understanding. Sheer very little health remaining, and Katoa still has this primal rage. Won't even need it. The sustain from Laoshu will be enough for now. So we're down to the final stretch.
Yeah, Stanley was able to build to the sound barrier, so they're going to have that sustain coming in. Less than a minute left on the clock for Alberta to try and cap this point and force extras as the big Bionade comes in, not able to confirm any kills off of it. Here we go, folks.
One final fight in UCSB. Want to get as much time down as they can just to buy the space, and if Citrus is going to keep landing shots like that, well, that makes the sound barrier push all easier, but I'm afraid, Ray, they might have fallen victim to, we did things too well too fast.
Yeah, it is getting tough right now. They still have a nano available at their disposal, but that is it. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the other team. They have a nano to defend here. They have a primal, a rally, and a pulse. They have tools to be able to get this done, but they gotta go now.
The touch is there from Akko to trigger the overtime, but the sustain has to be perfect. Nano boost onto Hydro. See what he's able to, or excuse me, onto Kai to see what he's able to get done. And it's gonna have to be a lot since you don't have the Ana for the near future. Laoshu's rally, plenty. Keep the back line of University of Alberta on their feet. Katoa sniping Stanley from across the map. Akko's cleaning up, and it appears UCSB, they did the thing, Ray. They won the fight too fast. They invested all their resources because they were confident, and it gave University of Alberta another shot. And we're going to continue with our Watch Point Gibraltar.
Let's go. We got extras on Watch Point, baby. Was such a great series, and how close this has been. What more could we ask for? And the funny thing about this series is, Tiny, you know, sometimes you could look at a series, right, and you'd be like, well, one team really got first point quickly, and the other team got second point quickly, and they struggled on the opposite points. Both teams took a while to get first point, so it's like no one really had an advantage on there, so it's even more of an open playing field to me coming into extras.
Yeah, I will say, I think for the University of Alberta, they struggled on their defense just because they were almost like too reactive. I think they were playing a little too safe, and it gave UCSB a lot of free space, where as the other side, UCSB, I think, just had a lot of errors that came back to bite them that University of Alberta were able to capitalize on. And I think the way that last point ended is that one's gonna hurt. It's the rare instance of you did your job too well, and you didn't take the time that you needed. And a minute's not a lot here, especially on Watch Point Gibraltar. That is by far the slowest map to get started. Both teams keeping the exact same comps as we roll out for the final attack. Bionated into the back. Ready? Caught.
I know. And these nades are absolutely disgusting. And Katoa is already down. This is just going to be a lot of nice, easy, free cart push for the side of UCSB.
UCSB, and you take that any day of the week. These nades from Hydro, that's been starting to hit harder here. There's another one onto Laoshu. But he'll be okay, as Prodigy Queen next to him to sustain, but that is a massive error from UCSB. Or from Roberta, excuse me.
Let's see, they got complete control of this high ground. The question is, what is Alberta going to be able to do to try and unhinge them away from these really good positions they've been able to take? It's going to be on their onus to be able to do that, as we have the cart continuing to push forward. This is where things get dicey.
Yeah, you gotta find a way to clear the high ground. Another Bionade now from Hydro onto 3 players. Opened the door for Kai, but I think it was a whip shot. Ended up denying him access. And very necessary, because these 3 players, Error 404 plus the supports, University of Alberta, will make this point more winnable. If they can stay alive, this Error 404 under stress, the whip shot hits, just not in the direction that Laoshu wanted. Overtime already started. All it takes is one fight here to clear the point. Akko will win the race of the pulse bump and takes out Citrus, this pop-off player for UCSB. And finding the windows, and these Bionades from Hydro are just too good. Lands out to 2. Kai finishes it off. The nano boost is online, and Hydro is carrying UCSB through this objective. And they're going to keep this going through second point.
Yeah, Hydro going absolutely sicko mode. And now all of this is just gravy at this point. Getting the first point is actually a huge deal when you're only sitting at 1 minute on the clock. So any distance they can get here is just going to be that much better on top of everything. Alberta is slowly coming up on a lot of ultimates, and this is overtime, so you just got to build up these ultimates and ult dump and win the fight.
Yeah, and you know that it's going to be one win for Alberta. As many as UCSB can manage to pull out what they wanted. Woo! What a way to start it off. Double kill for Akko on the pulse bomb. Both supports are dead, but Kai comes back. Trades it right back out, and it's just not as safe as they thought. Kai is supposed to be the hero for UCSB. The pulse bomb sticks from Sheer, but Akko blinks right into it. There's no way UCSB Gold are coming back. Akko could not have done more there for his team. yet UCSB are going to manage to find a way to push this payload even further. Losing out on Kai, though, leaves Sheer the only player to contest the objective, but don't have overhealth to work with. Stanley returns sound barrier to toe, and it's helpful for a little bit. But Arrow 4-4 chews through that real fast with the overclock. Double kill for him, and that will halt the payload. UCSB, that is a massive mark to have set, especially on a map like this.
Couldn't agree with you more. This puts a lot of pressure on the University of Alberta. They're going to have to be moving quickly and swiftly, all things considered. They're going to have to be picture perfect in order to make sure they're going up 2-1 heading into map number 4. But that is still on the table here. We just saw UCSB be able to do it. So Alberta knows what the formula looks like.
Yeah, they know what they need to look for, but it was really hard. I think they fell to a lot of their own mistakes there for these points, and it's not an easy thing to come back from. They did a decent job on their own attack at finding these small missed positions from UCSB, but what can you do? I think Hydro, for sure, led the charge for UCSB. The Bionades onto the support. That kind of a great relationship that Laoshu and Prodigy Queen have with this on-a-break combo completely torn apart because of it, but we just haven't seen the same from Prodigy Queen yet. It makes it a little bit harder for Katoa. You're not linking up with Akko as much, so it's baby steps through this high ground, but it's hard to do baby steps, Ray, when you only have a minute to attack.
Yeah, you got to be taking like giant steps in order to get this done, just because of the situation you're in now. As the Sim's going to TP everyone over to the high ground, and then they're going to look to swap over to the Tracer. But here we go. Let's see if Alberta can take this, or will UCSB be able to hold defensively?
Yeah, we'll go to a map 4 regardless, but who will have the match point is what is up for grabs here. Citrus already a bit low, and we're seeing the nades land from Prodigy Queen. She can't hit them, but Katoa just hasn't always been able to follow up as easily. For a lot of these dives, the point been under pressure. Stanley locking down this high ground. That's the second time now I've seen him this point. Get the boop off, Kai. Whew, a little scary there for a second, but we'll be able to leap back up onto the high ground. That's the nade we wanted to see hit. Citrus getting incredibly low. Watch to chase him down, but a hero sleep again. Hydro shuts down Akko, keeps Citrus on their feet, and at the best time possible for UCSB. Overtime has hit, and no DPS on the side of University of Alberta. Little threat for eliminations. Kai knows it. He's willing to go in. And that is about all that is left here in Watch Point Gibraltar. UCSB really coming back after what looked to be a close Lijiang Tower. It will be a close map 2, close map 3. Why not take it to 4? It'll be the Raccoons on match point.
Again, just excuse me, the clutch factor on this defense from UCSB, which is absolutely necessary. Making the Lucio Ana work consistently, I got to give them props, man, because like I mentioned, it's one of my least favorite backlines. So the fact that they, won with it, super impressive. And yeah, I can't wait to see how this continues, because this has been such a nip-tuck back-and-forth series.
What can we say? Stanley loves his Lucio and didn't really see much of a reason to swap off of it. I mean, it has a lot of similar properties to the Brig. The only thing that I think it's more useful for is if I think it was more threat on the backline. I think the increased AoE healing, the armor packs, is better for sustain under dives, but I don't think there was that much pressure. There was so much initiative that was taken by UCSB through this map, much different than what we've seen from their previous playstyle, and because of it, it set themselves up so well. Hydro had the best map that we've seen on the Ana, and not to mention Citrus really found themselves on this hit scan.
It's going to be a big question to me is the fact that you're forcing Lucio on watch point. Does that become a target ban for Alberta coming into the next map, like where they just feel like, I love Lucio that much, I'm going to play it on Gibraltar? So I would at least think about that if I was the side of Alberta. But there's a lot of things. I can't remember when the Ana was banned and who did it, but Ana's got to be one you think about too, man. Hydro was on something that map.
Yeah, I think Ana it depends. She's such a niche pick these days. It's so map dependent, and with most of the escort maps being where you'd pick Ana, that no longer being an option, it would depend. Like perhaps there's like a midtown or something. You may want to pull her out, but we'll see if we end up getting to that direction, because this was a bit different. I think you picked this map as the University of Alberta, thinking we won the dive matchup on Lijiang Tower. Let's try to do it again here. It's clearly something that they're comfortable with. It's something that they like playing, and they just couldn't do it. They fell apart for too hard and too long that they couldn't make the recovery.
As we do have a swap coming in from University of Alberta as Error 404 goes to the bench. Sale comes in for this decisive map number 4.
Yeah, so he'll come in place of the hit scan. So I do wonder what map we are going to. Sometimes we'll see the swaps. I think we've seen decent work from Arrow 404 so far, but mainly on the Emre. I don't think it's had as much of an appearance on the Sojourn, which is a potential target for a ban, as we have our pick in. Will be Saravasa. So with a map like this, is it like a double flex DPS perhaps? Or is just different specialties from Sale? That's what I really want to know for the University of Alberta. I think that might show a bit more when you get a peek at these bans.
I agree, and I think that's really what could end up, look at this. I mean, Lucio is very good on Servasa. I would highly be considering a Lucio ban. I mean, unless you feel comfortable taking the mirror. I don't know, man, but Alberta already ended up losing to Co-College tonight. Are they going to take their second loss in a row tonight, or will they be able to turn it around and win the next 2 maps in a row?
Yeah, and their loss against Co-College was a 1-3 as well. So that's like, are we repeating history here? What's really going on? And I think there is a lot of pressure for the University of Alberta. This is basically playoff contention on the line. I didn't get as much time to do number crunching as I would like, but I'm pretty confident that there is a chance for Alberta, but they absolutely needed to win this game. UCSB, I'm not so confident about. It would take some significant losses from the teams that are above them to shake some stuff up, but even then, having UCSB win this match and kind of ruin the playoffs' hopes for the University of Alberta would be quite telling on where this series and kind of the improvements the Raccoons have seen over the season.
Agree 100%. Even if you don't make it, being able to go out on a multiple win streak is going to feel very good for your chances. We do see those bans coming in. Alberta bans the Cassidy, which is interesting because I feel like we have not seen a ton of that this series. And then for the side of UCSB, the Diva coming online, which we know the affinity we've seen from University of Alberta to be able to play that. So I think it was a very smart ban coming in from UCSB. The Alberta one, we'll see. I don't know. We haven't really seen Cass a lot.
Yeah, I wonder if it's maybe like a Tracer thing. You have a new hit scan player coming in. You don't want to take the risk. I can see it. This still just screams Emre to me, if you're going to pull it out. We saw it from Arrow 404. We'll see if Sale decides to pick it up, as well as he did take that kind of quote-unquote hit scan role that we have been seeing. But what does University of Alberta do in tank now? Because we've almost exclusively seen Katoa on this Diva. Other than that, it's been the Winston. So do you keep playing the Winston here? Sigma's been a pick that's been rising on this map too. But you also could just pull the Domina back out if you really wanted.
I agree. And that's the other question with Arrow 4-4 coming out. Are they going to go double flex DPS possibly? That's always an option. Winston, possibly like a Genji Tracer kind of thing. Not super conventional, but you never know what could happen. But all things are up in the air, especially like when you got to win this to keep your playoff hopes chance alive if you're University of Alberta. So they're going to pull out all the stops they can.
As you should. I think if you are going into a Overwatch match, you want to make sure you're playing a faster pace, which is kind of what this tells me. I'm not surprised that the Lucio has stayed through. I think Laoshu, it's such an integral part to many comps, and Laoshu looks good on it when he has played it. I do want to see more of this synergy because I think we are going to get Tracer regardless. That hero is just ridiculous, especially on Flashpoint maps. And haha, Suravash is the Flashpoint. That sheer matchup that we've been seeing has gotten a lot of assistance from Stanley. Do we see that for Akko? I don't feel like I've seen the same amount of time spent together with Laoshu and Akko as I had for the opposite end of things. So UCSB, as they head in what could be their second win of the season here on Saravasa, with this match point, seem to be pivoting back towards this Domina kind of vendetta strategy that we saw on Runasapi.
This could be it, folks. No surprises here as we see UCSB going over to that Domina pick that we've seen them love a lot. For University of Alberta, is Katoa really going to roll out on the Doom? It does look like it. Have not seen a lot of Doom comps since Zebra, left UCSC.
Hey, you say that? Last week of NECC that I casted, it was Doomfist mirrors both matches, and no, I'm not kidding. That is how it went. So Katoa, well familiar with the game, and if you have the hands for it, it can work out, but Doomfist, one of those heroes that, unless you're in the top, 1%, even higher, difficult to make it work at a team level for him. So, Katoa, gotta be working with Akko. The issue is with this comp, you just don't have any protection for Sail. Citrus has this huge shield that they could just chill around. And UCSB, they're gonna use that towards their advantage. Katoa, I haven't really even seen them much on that fight. He was off doing things the other side of the map, and UCSB just take the point.
Yeah, we remember how dominant Sheer was back on Runasapi on this vendetta. So you're going to have to be that much more careful if you're the side of University of Alberta. And like you mentioned, there's no protection for Sail. So all Sail has to get out of jail free card is one slide currently.
Yeah, and it's not a fantastic thing to have to work with. You will probably be sitting with Prodigy Queen or Laoshu. And in this case, it is both of them that need to come over, but more so for the sake of Citrus, and it works out. Everybody pulls the turn and burn on Katoa, and it shows how fragile this Doomfist pick can be.
Yeah, we're going to see the swap off of the Doomfist already. I was seeing the same thing. I'm like, look, I don't know if Winston's the answer, but it's definitely not Doomfist. So, but Akko getting Citrus out early is actually a really great first step for the side of Alberta.
It helps. Katoa already back in the fight. Fu and Kai looking to be on a bit of an island here. Katoa will make sure of that with his bubble. Plops it right on his head. No healing to come through the barrier. It will be 99% for UCSB as the University of Alberta grab the foot.
Again, Akko just opening things up with that pulse, but finds another on to Stanley. Akko has come into this and said, I am not losing. I am going to put my team in the best position possible. So far, they are doing an amazing job.
Yeah, we caught a glimpse of it at the end of Watchpoint Gibraltar of Akko's Tracer starting to pop off, and perhaps that was just the beginning of what he has in store for this round. And if University of Alberta needs something to go their way, that would be it. And I wonder if it's because there's not someone to contest him. Sheer isn't really going to spend all of his time chasing a Tracer around. So UCSB, gotta find another way in. Will be an engaged sound barrier out of Stanley that Laoshu has to match before the Kitsune rushes come on out. It's starting to get a little hectic on the point. Panopticon also flew through at some point during that, of course. Not amounting to all that much, so the dust settles. No deaths anywhere on this battlefield. All it did was get UCSB the positioning they wanted. They'll start the overtime ticker again. That means Katoa has to get back over to that point, and it'll be at the sacrifice of Sail and the remainder of the tank health bar. University of Alberta, they fought the fight, but UCSB, they're the ones that are winning the war here. Better positioning, they knew how to take the space with Kai's Domina, and they'll get the first point on Saravasa.
Yeah, I think the question for Alberta is, do they look to focus down the Domina, or do they want to kind of focus on all the ancillary pieces around the Domina and then go for her last? If you want to go for the ancillary pieces, you got to go quickly, because I've said it time and time again, you can't leave the Domina alive forever. She just throws down too much damage. So you got to be quicker and more decisive and find these kills quicker if you don't want to go after the Domina.
No, it has to be an ignore the tank move, or we're gonna like destroy the tank. And with how immobile Kai is and the protective cooldowns that he'll have at his disposal, it's not exactly worth it to engage. Akko finding that out the hard way on his recently swapped Genji. Sheer, and the only thing really is the Sundering Blade here. That could be enough to deter, maybe get a pick. If you're lucky enough to get the cooldowns out correctly, you might not even need it. Citrus posted up on this high ground, hasn't seen much pressure at all, other than the poke from the opposite end, but they are still on fire after the previous round. Citrus coming to life.
And you've been able to hold on and build up to a lot more ultimates. Like the Sundering Blade is going to be extremely dangerous for Alberta, just being able to walk in and try and find angles. Getting Stan Lee, though, that is actually a big deal. Lucio will be back fast, but you can't afford to play up as aggressively anymore if you're UCSB.
No, you have to be cautious about the spacing. You know that Alberta will engage on you at any point that you can. That's a double kill for the Sundering Blade. That should be illegal. Think a bit of an assist from Stanley there. Perhaps a boop onto Katoa to set it up. Either way, that's the value you want to see from your Vendetta. Pick up a third for the road, and UCSB looking to go flawless on Palace.
Yeah, that's 70% and counting. University of Alberta is also just barely building up to their ultimates as UCSB won that with just a single ult commit fight. And they're playing up, trying not to give them any kind of room to be able to touch. Even the rotation they're trying to make to go touch, they're putting down cooldowns to try and stop them, as we do get a touch from Katoa.
Katoa gets the touch, use the Primal Rage to get out, start to heal for some of his team. And under pressure, the Kitsune Rush is up for Prodigy Queen, but also plenty for the Raccoons. Want to take this fight here and now, and they might just do it. Laoshu just now getting the sound barrier online, and is that little 6% that will make the difference at the end of the day. Citrus firing away and firing off a second capture now. One more point, and UCSB claim the series.
Yeah, expensive fight for UCSB, but just to guarantee they go up 2-0 and put that much more pressure on University of Alberta, who realize now they have to reverse sweep this map, I think it's totally worth it. Alberta should be able to win this next fight relatively easy. They got 3 ultimates to just a Kitsune Rush. Again, let's see if they can make it happen.
They ought to start it off right, and Sail getting to be the player to do that. Hasn't quite had the same performance level so far that kind of wanted to see from the sub coming in, and it's been difficult. Katoa goes in so deep, didn't know that Sail had backed off after the overclock had come in, and the Dragon Play getting shut down too. Everything went wrong for the University of Alberta.
Getting sheer there is actually a big deal. I think the one thing I didn't like was going for that blade when you're already down one. Katoa's going to go over to the Doomfist now. We just saw no success out of that back on the first point, so I'm really surprised they're going to go back to the Doomfist well.
Now this time it will be with Akko on the Vendetta, so perhaps it's easier to follow up on that. Now, a combo I am not familiar with, so I'm sure about to find out. Sport ult exchange, sound barrier, more so just to sustain through the Kitsune Rush that UCSB already had positioning on. But it's a great shutdown onto Sheer once again. Now limited damage for UCSB and Gardens. It's difficult to get a good poke angle for your Sojourn and Citrus, having to slide pretty carefully out of this fight. Make sure everything's good, but even that, Akko sees no cooldown, bet, flies on in, slices them in two. Will finally be the honor. Getting some capture percentage going here on Saravasa.
Yeah, that's definitely got to be a nice sigh of relief for this side of Alberta. All right, we got the point. We got to take it in our favor. We got a lot of ultimates coming online, like all 5 of them. Let's just be patient, use these ultimates judiciously, and let's turn this map around.
Nopticon available for Kai as he looks to approach this. And goes for the sound barrier. Laoshu just a hair behind. Katoa eats the ultimate. The Panopticon is gone. Not an interaction you say every day with a second Doomfist perk. That is the best thing I think you could ask for at the University of Alberta. So it won't stop this whole storm. Both support ults out. The respect of Citrus as they are sent flying into the sea. Akko to give him a bit of a friend. Stanley returns the favor. Katoa diving. See how much can happen here. It is a 1-for-1, and Sheer has to get back over to the team. He managed to do so, but Laoshu gets the better of his Lucio's counterpart. A second now, Laoshu comes up with a triple in the kill feed. And what a play to close that out. As Honor, they're keeping themselves alive in the series.
I even think that was an overcommit from UCSB. I think they threw in way too many ults to that fight, especially when they lost one early. So now that gives this next point a huge advantage to Alberta, who's going to have a Sundering Blade with only a Kitsune Rush to answer. So kind of like Alberta's chances to get control of the second point with relative ease.
And they'll get there first. They have the better positioning to pull off of it. Sheer so incredibly low, but still beats out Sail in the 1v1. Rather 2v1 with the help because Stanley was there on an assist. And it's this kind of duo we've seen. Stanley and Sheer from the very start have been running it down. Not sure if he really needed to commit this Kitsune Rush to it, but rather be safe than sorry in the eyes of Hydro.
Yeah, I agree. Alberta didn't use their Sundering Blade, though, so now you're not going to really have anything for it. But, I mean, just to secure the point and start getting that percentage in your favor, I get the sentiment. I do. So let's see what Akko, pressures on them to make something happen with this Blade, though.
Yeah, Sundering Blade, saw Sheer get a double kill off of it earlier. It's very rare to see more than one. If Akko can line it up, I think the ceiling on the temple objective makes it a little bit more challenging to pull off. But you can look for it over the top. Yeah, you know what? Screw ceilings. If you could just fly over the side, takes the majority of Kai's health bar and bites through the rest there. UCSB, they don't have anything to work with. You'd like to use a Kitsune Rush or something to perhaps engage with. But Akko got the value that was needed. Will give University of Alberta the point.
And to me, the next fight, if you are UCSB, is all about conserving ults and trying to force out as many from Alberta as you can, just because they're going to have such an advantage. They're going to have 4 out of their 5 online while you're still looking to build up to a decent amount of years. So just try and force out as many as you can and try not to use it.
Yeah, but if these picks keep coming through in the neutral, there's not really a need to get any ultimates. You can't force anything from UCSB if you don't want to take the fight to begin with.
No, totally agree with your sentiment there.
This ends now.
Let's see. Oh, they're gonna just go aggressive with this overclock, but because of that, they're not forcing out any kind of sound barrier.
What? But they somehow find Sail's head. Who needs a sound barrier if Citrus can just click heads? All right, I see you. This soldier is insane in the right hands, and those hands have been this dude right here. The UCSB back in control. Final fight now.
Oh, they used the Sundering Blade there. I think that was a huge mistake. They needed to hold on to that if you're UCSB. Because Alberta didn't use any ults enough. They got 4 to be able to use here. If UCSB wants this point, I feel like the Panopticon's got to be huge.
And the Panopticon comes in. There's a bucket sound barrier. The boop is all you need. Stanley denies what could have been as UCSB Gold. They are going to get their second win of their NECC season and ruin the playoff hopes of the University of Alberta. I mean, what a way to end it.
Yeah, that was insane. I'm like, if they get the touch here, they are probably losing that point with the amount of ultimates that University of Alberta had online. But what a map coming in for Stanley and getting that boop at the end. Very well played. Congratulations to Santa Barbara, University of California, Santa Barbara, for getting their second win on the season. That's got to feel great.
Absolutely. I think for UCSB and taking down a team, again, on paper that wasn't a favorite matchup. You lost to teams that, we were watching University of Alberta just sweep right through, and it happened twice so far in the regulars, and seeing something like that, I mean, maybe you don't do your research. I mean, honestly, that's probably good, so then you don't get in your own head. But as casters, we had to do it. We see things like that, like, is this really going to be that close of a game? And UCSB showed us just that. Every single map came down to the wire, with the exception of Suravasa. It could have gone that way if it wasn't for Stanley, though. So UCSB Gold, I'd say Stanley gets a pat on the back for their heroics, especially at the end.
Could not agree with you more. Congratulations once again to UCSB for taking the victory, especially after going down 1-0, to be able to come back, win the next 3 in a row, and make that happen. With that, folks, that is going to be it for us for this week. Make sure to tune in for all the goodness at NECC next week. This is the last week of the regular season, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah, so a lot of games at stake for playoff indications, especially with the looming the looming end of season playoffs coming in. It's going to be a big deal to see who can win their perspective divisions in their different in the different divisions and different areas. So very excited to see that. Anything else for you, Tiny?
All I'm saying is, hey, we love Overwatch. It's pretty great, but of course, not only is it last week for our Overwatch, it's every other game title, and it will be some very important game-deciding matches for all of our collegiate competitors. So again, make sure to give all of the NECC channels a follow to stay updated and continue to support the collegiate athletes. That's been Tiny Shiny and to Try Hard Ray on the broadcast for tonight. We'll go ahead, call it here, and we'll see you back next week for the final week of our regular season.